Welcome back to Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022 Day 2. That is right, we are here in the top cuts, the top 18. These players have tried so hard. I am here with my wonderful casters, Toku.
Hello, I am It's Toku TV from Yellow Card Vanguard, and we are also joined by
Peter, just Peter.
just
um,
Beta.
yeah, and I mean, I'm excited for this. As always, like this is gonna be an exciting top eight. We saw some very good top table stuff from the Swiss rounds. So Orange, give us a little introduction on this.
Introduction on top 8.
Uh, I think
Oh,
why
no,
not?
we actually we're gonna go ahead and look at the formats first.
Oh,
Format for
true,
V
true,
Premium.
true,
So let's go ahead and go over that before we continue
true.
on with anything else.
Yep. So for those who don't remember what format we're playing this weekend, because there are so many weekends, this is the V Premium weekend. So we're gonna be playing that yesterday and today. Pretty cool stuff. And we've also got, well, it's a top eight because there weren't quite enough players for top 16, which is unfortunate. Premium was like only just barely enough for the nine top 16. And yeah, this is the top eight for us, day two. And into the next slide, please. We've also got, well, yeah, we got for standard here. Not in next week, but 2 weeks after that, we have the what's it called? We have the standard tournament where we'll be having the overdress format, where we'll be using a lot more of that newer stuff, which is going to be pretty exciting. I personally am excited as well, but enough about standard. We have V Premium right now.
And Vice. Don't forget
Yes,
Vice for week
and
4.
Weiss. Can never forget Weiss Schwarz. I know that Toku here is a huge fan of that game. And I actually saw a few friends of mine just get into it recently as well. Maybe in preparation for a BRO. Maybe.
I sure
But
am a huge fan of the anime card game known as Weiss Schwarz. Now let's take a look at the pricing that our top 8 competitors will be playing for today. So, all of our top 4 players, after winning their first round in the top 8, will receive a certificate of their accomplishment in today's top 8 tournament in the BRO 2022 V Premium format. This is probably worth more than a bachelor's, probably worth more than a master's, probably not better than a PhD, but still good nonetheless. Then, once we hit top 3, our first, second, and third place will receive copies of the winner promo card Seeker Thing Saver Dragon. In third place, you will receive 1 copy of it as well as 1 booster display. In second place, 2 copies and 1 booster display. And finally, the grand prize and the grand winner of the tournament will receive 4 copies of If You Did Not Ride This Turn as well as a booster display. If you do win it all, I will be in your DMs because I want those cards. With that being said, let's go ahead and take a look and refresh ourselves on who our top 8 players will be.
I will say it is a PhD. Pretty holographic dragon.
All right, so here we have the top 8 bracket. We got Michael the Titleist facing Otak Gize. Take it along, Toku.
Alright, right after we have Man Long versus 984 Smurf. Peter?
Then next we've got 2 people that have been on stream before, Aries and Sabrier. 2 people that we definitely enjoyed watching earlier on, for sure. Sabrier actually getting to be on stream twice, so that's exciting. And then last up, we've got Gasha Dokuro versus the Gumi guy. Gasha Dokuro using dueling dragons, which was, I think personally, very interesting. Even he in the stream said, "Don't believe the hype. This deck is not that good. Don't waste your money."
No, I'm believing the hype. I'm all in on
I'm
Gacha
believing in
Dokuro
the hype too.
strategy.
I am too. I have dueling dragon stuff. Let me cope.
Yeah, coping is the best way.
With that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the decks our top 8 players will be piloting. Bring us into deck 1, please. We've got a Talk Gize, and we finally get to see what Gize is playing, and the Dragon of Destruction will be playing Highlander. Quite literally, the most literal form of Highlander using the reindeer strategy, not the Anj Highlander we've been seeing throughout the tournament all of yesterday. Orange, give me a quick thought on this one.
Yeah, sure. So this is pure Highlander. This is the best way to pretty much approach Highlander if you want to go for the one-up strategy. And yeah, this is pretty much you ride reindeer and you go from reindeer into better cards essentially. So you go into Anj, Lupina, the Great Fours, which is Lura and Eska. They have Crystal Pop even here, which is actually a very interesting touch. Some of the new stuff, and we have Olivia in here too. And you have Q-Tire for just like the very good search. So overall, this deck is just all about just slamming face with Vanguard on top of getting your Pearl Sisters as fast as possible.
Anything to add on, Peter?
I actually do have something to add on. The inclusion of Eve. I know that I talked to some people earlier last night because I was like, I did not get to see a Takis play, and some friends of mine, one of them did play against the Takis, so I was clued in on this deck, and this is the interesting choice. So a lot of Highlander players, for pure Highlander at least, apparently do not play Crystal Pop Star Eve because it's a bit of a...
It's a main phase skill.
Yeah, it's a bit of a chance skill as well for its continuous. So, very interesting pick. We'll have to see if that comes into play, though, so I'm excited for that.
And my point of discussion is actually the lack of Heal Guardians. We'll see if that ever comes back to bite Atog Gize in the butt. However, let's go ahead and see what the second deck is. We once again have Sabre on stream. This is the Ghosty hybrid with the Night Rose strategy. With the Ghosties being able to provide that little bit of push as well as that resource as well as the defensive pressure. It's a unique take on a tried true tested strategy that I am personally a fan of.
Yep. We've seen this deck quite a few times now, so it's very exciting to see it in action here once again with the extra touch with the Beatrice and Ghosty engine on top of going into Night Rose for the finish. Any thoughts, Peter?
I think this is just a very solid Night Rose list, especially for the V-Premium format. I mean, like, these are all just good cards, and they all work very well together. How about that next list, though?
I'm excited to see what deck 3 is going to be looking like.
I'm excited as well. And it does look like we're getting the Gumi guy, another person that has not been on stream yet, using Anj. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty similar to the other Anj lists we've seen.
So not running the Highlander cards in Kutire. However, focusing on the Rolenka, it seems to be the go-to multi-attacker alongside Tiroa this time along as well. Big shout out to Vanessa and Nikita. Orange and I were kind of talking off stream about how these two make a really strong resource loop. And combine that with Anj's ability to bounce back the Nikita, and you have not only a draw engine on place, but also a guard engine.
Yep. It's just insane how much value you get off of Vanessa and Nikita. You can literally just put Vanessa into Soul, put a Heal Guardian back to deck while drawing a card, and then use Nikita's skill when you place her on on Rearguard or Guard Circle, and then just draw more cards while also getting like a ton of shields. So very good resource engine, one of my favorites. So I love seeing it here in action.
With that being said, let's go ahead and take a deep dive into deck 4. We've got 94 Smurf playing pretty much the same thing. Also not running the Highlander variant with Kutire. But we have the Nikitas, we have the Finessas, and we have the Rolenkas. Very similar deck.
Yep, no Pearl Sisters in this one. The other one had actually Pearl Sisters on top of this, but I actually liked the pure, I guess you could call it pure version with the restanding. It requires less resources too, so I like just having to just, attack with your opponent, attack your opponent multiple times, and then just go into tier for the finisher.
I also like the fact that the Pearl Sisters were taken out means that then some of the ratios for some of the other cards were bumped up a little bit, and I appreciate that. Just that little bit of consistency when you're not on Anj, so you have to ride Tiroa.
Yep, exactly.
Now with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the 5th deck. We've got...
Wow.
Man,
another one.
Wow.
Wow, this is a lot of... Sorry, I know we're supposed to talk about the deck, but this is just a lot of Anj lists. I wasn't expecting this many Anj lists in top 8.
There sure are a lot. Holy. But this one is a bit different from the previous two we saw. This one does run that small Highlander engine with the Couturier and with a small one-of package. Once again, big shoutouts to one of my favorite cards in the Caro being able to search out that extra copy of Ange just to get that third force marker as soon as possible.
Yep, exactly. And honestly, we've seen this in action a little bit yesterday. I do want to know something. There is a reindeer in this list. That is something that is actually very untraditional of most on Highwinder builds. So that would be interesting to see if that comes up because I feel like I think she's a top 10 or a top 7 for her skill. So it's a good way to unbrick yourself, but I feel like it might be a little hard. You can kind of miss with that card.
Yeah. Interesting thing as well. Usually when you see reindeer at all in a deck, you will see, say, some grade 4s, like in the first or second list of the day.
Yep.
So that'll be interesting to see how that reindeer comes into play.
Agreed.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the 6th deck, please. We have Gasha Dokuro with that Dueling Dragon Z strategy, ending with Z because of all of these names. Zangeki, Zantetsu, and
Zanbaku.
I forget the last two. Zanbaku. But yeah, this is the strategy that we saw that Gasha Dokuro used to stunning presentation in that 7th round of Swiss. I do like the deck name as well, Troubles, because if you manage to get fully locked, you sure are in a bunch of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
This is correct. Sure. Yeah, I really I liked what we saw yesterday, so I'm excited to see if we're going to see something similar again. I didn't even realize that about that guard restrict card. I think it's that Sengeki right there. It actually came in pretty clutch there because you're only running 2 copies of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. Well, there's 3 actually because there's the one SVR.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
No, completely understandable. The SVRs for Zanbaku and Zangeki sort of blend together because of the red background.
Yeah, I didn't even process, but it's there. So there's 3 copies, so never mind. It's a little bit more consistent then.
They look hot, though.
Yeah.
They do look good.
All right, and with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at our 7th deck. We've got Ares playing Gold Paladin. So there it is. We finally got some Gurgit in top 8 here. Saw a lot of Anj, but there it is. The second deck that we like to call the meta-defining deck of the V-Premium format, and that is Gurgit. Actually, nice even split on front and crit. We got 5 of the counter chargers, and apart from that, that definitely is Percival. That is Percival.
Wow, wait, I gotta clean my glasses a little bit. Wait, yup, that's Percival, all right. That I can't miss that blue card anywhere.
Yeah, Percival, very strong card. Just recently, like about half a year ago, came back with this deck. So, Gurgit players, very excited for this. And honestly, surprised that there are not more Gurgit players in the top 8.
Me too. We thought, we were talking, as a community. Oh yeah, Gurgit, best deck. Yeah, we're seeing more Anj than anything else, and they're all kind of different decks.
Now that being said, finally, the 8th and final deck for your top 8 V-Premium finalists. Michael, the titleist, from my knowledge, was not playing this one.
No,
but Michael, the titleist, was playing Tavis for sure.
Yeah. This is still the list for.
Well, looks like we're having a little bit of just some technical stuff, but Michael, the titleist, is actually playing Aquaforce.
Yes.
Yeah. We remember the list from yesterday. It ran the Wheel Assault at a high count to be able to shuffle the board around on that Lambros turn, getting more attacks than just the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we initially gave. And then with that, we were able to eke out that clean run through Swiss with Michael the Titleist's deck.
Yeah, and there was also the 2 of Baragios. The interesting thing that we noted as well was that there's no Adelaide in this build. Surprisingly enough as well, Suo's build, which won AO and got 3rd in EU, did not run Adelaide either.
There we go. That would be the list. So we've got our Lambros, we've got the Tavis, and yeah, big shoutouts to the Pursuit Assault. Probably the one card that is giving resurgence to the deck, and I cannot be more happy to see it being represented in top 8 as well as going clean through Swiss.
Yep,
I'm very
pretty excited. Yeah, I don't have too many thoughts on Aquaforce as I'm not an Aquaforce main. However, I did see a lot of action, and I'm really excited to see kind of how this plays out.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting top 8, and I wonder if the players are ready.
Well, while we are waiting for the players,
Any predictions on what we're going to see in the top 4?
exactly, I'm excited. I personally am going to take a wild guess here and say, wait, hear me out, hear me out.
Okay.
Okay, I'm hearing you.
Anj.
How did you get to that conclusion?
Wait. I have more.
Okay.
Anj. That's 2. Wait, I have more. Anj.
Oh my god.
Wait. There's one more. Doing dragons.
Okay. I'm down on that last one. I'm very much down to get to Dueling Dragons all the way to the finals. But
It
no,
would be
yeah,
cool to see Aquaforce too.
definitely am excited to see more Anj than Gurgit, honestly speaking. I think a lot of us are. We already know what Gurgit does. Proof managed to show us a masterclass on how that deck will completely clobber your opponent if given all the given pieces. And I would like to see more Anj kind of explored, because that kind of, like you said, was an unexplored publicly deck, but a lot of people were kind of messing around with it in the shadows.
I was one of the people, but I was open about it.
And honestly, I'm surprised that people were like deciding to take out a deck that not that many people, well, you would think not that many people were expecting it, but it was also the most popular deck of the tournament. But so a lot of people just sort of simultaneously thought, okay, this is the deck I'll bring at the same time. And I know a lot of people have been talking about, oh, people will be hiding their decks for BCS season so that they don't get it restricted or anything like that. That is not the case here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Letting the sauce
Now
out.
that's enough from us. That's enough from us. We want to watch some Cardfight Vanguard. Let's watch some Cardfight Vanguard. Let us begin the top 8 of Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022. Our first match will be Michael, the titleist, playing Aquaforce against Atakugize, who we now know to be playing Anj.
I am so excited for this. It's gonna be a very interesting match. I think this will be honestly kind of a tough one for the Anj player, because now, especially going second, I feel marker generation is very important, and both decks do have a really high marker generation. So we're gonna be seeing here sort of how this plays out.
One thing I want to note as well is that Michael, the Titleist, did ride Wheel Assault, which normally you would think, oh, I didn't get to ride Nikki. Pretty rough. Not necessarily, because Wheel Assault does give you still an extra card anyways. Oh.
Taking that Thomas's damage is not something we like to see. I would like to also point out that on Atakugize's side, the ride pattern and the attack pattern were kind of interesting. The grade 1 that we call into the rear guard circle actually has an on-hit effect to draw, but it looks like Atakugize went for the more guaranteed plus by writing that new grade 1 promo, which lets herself call herself out when rode upon. So regardless of letting your opponent guard it or not, we are able to get that free +1 on that ride rather than the other one.
I'm interested on the not using Wheel Assault skill, because that could have given one more resource at least. Like, it would have spent a counterblast, but it seems like Michael is not calling front row anyway, so they weren't going to get damage denied.
It looks like this swing is going to go straight towards the Vanguard, so leaving that grade 1 on board, giving Atakugize the ability to filter for it. But I think, just like what Orange said yesterday, with Aquaforce, we're trying to go back to the old rules. We want all the damage to face as soon as we can. And we have a very interesting card here. It's a ride fixer. We are able to ride into it, and then off of it, choose our top 7 and ride into a different grade 2 of our choosing.
Yep, I like this card because the counterblast, you draw a card, you top 7 for any grade 2, and you ride it instantly. So it's just a really nice, like you draw, on top of also just getting like another card at soul essentially, while also getting another card out of deck. So I'm a big fan of this card. I used to run it a lot in some of my other decks that I really wanted to see specific grade 2s. And we see the Klesena here being rode upon, but I'm pretty sure she requires a Catablast, so the skill shouldn't be going off.
Klesena is also another one of ride target as well. Both of them are both Murata and both Klasena have that strictly on Vanguard placement, so it does nothing else on the rearguard circle, but a very strong effect nonetheless. Murata is able to kind of, because you are rewriting, able to get a soul and a draw for the counterblast, whereas Klasena is able to get a +2 for a counterblast and a soul blast. So kind of depends on what you decide to play into, but both have very strong on-ride abilities, and it looks like Attack Gize decided to go for the best of both worlds, despite only having one counterblast.
Something I want to talk about is that Grey 2 there on the left.
Echoes, yes.
So that card's really interesting. She's a Soul Blast 3. You draw 2 cards whenever your Grade 3 is placed. So you can essentially keep her in a back row somewhere and just keep drawing cards off of her, as long as you have the Soul.
I think that card comes up huge a lot in like the reindeer variant, which I do believe is what Attack Gize is playing.
Exactly.
So with the reindeer variant, because you're doing a lot of rewrites, you have a lot of cards that actually soul charge a lot. Echoes is able to, basically every turn you are able to resolve reindeer, you also have the option to resolve Echoes as well.
And this is a big turn right here. Not to talk about, well, to detract, or not detract, but to get a little bit off the topic of Highlander. This is going to be a big turn because Attack Gize does not play Heal Guardians. Because Michael the Titleist is going to have a pretty good turn right now. He's got the Pursuit Assaults. So that means he's going to be guaranteed hitting Lambros' requirement. He's got the Thavis skill to snipe off the board, the most threatening thing on the board every single turn. So that's always nice. And, oh man, and the Nikki too, so getting that soul back as well. And only needs 1 face-up damage. This is going to be a very good turn. And because Attack Gize does not have those Heal Guardians, that means he's going to have to just rip defensives just hard instead of like using a Heal Guardian to overcome some of these numbers.
As a point of discussion, I think it's interesting that Michael decided to use Tavis' skill to retire not the Echoes, but the Lieselot. Knowing that Echoes has that on-place ability, or like when your Vanguard is placed ability, to let Attack Gize draw 2 cards. That is a lot of cards. But not deciding to go for it, I wonder if Michael is then going to choose to attack into it sometime during the battle phase here.
That'll be interesting to see. Maybe if Attack Gize hits any defensives, Michael will just swing into it.
But yeah, just like you said, Attack Gize not running the Heal Guardians, I wonder if that has repercussions to how aggressive Michael's turn looks. Going for another Pursuit Assault to draw here. Going to be able to fully rest the entire board, and with that we have our entire board rested. This does meet our Tavis condition, even though we only need 3 or more to be rested, but this lets us Superior Stride into the Lambros from our main deck and give it 10k and a drive. Now Lambros does check our opponent to be at grade 3 or higher to give the column it restands that extra bit of power, but regardless we do get a column restand anyways, and our Pursuit Assaults are already swinging at a base 14, and the Coral Assault on that Axial Circle is also very scary.
Yeah, this is a really good turn here, even without that power buff, because you got 2 Pursuit Assaults, so they're hitting for they're hitting above the 10 anyways. And then you've also got that Coral Assault. And also, I just want to say, that much soul usage this turn does tell me that Michael might have another Thavis in hand.
If not another Tavis in hand, then at least we have the Coral Assault that will go into soul and refund itself as well. I'm not sure what the card behind that right Pursuit Assault is. I think that might be a Dennis.
It is.
But, oh yeah, so it's a Dennis. It's just being used for its, just being used as rest fodder for a Pursuit Assault skill.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just there to look pretty and be rested.
And as predicted, the first Pursuit Assault, 14k, goes into the Echoes here. And then we're going to swing with the next one. That gets guarded, and here comes a very large Coral Assault swing, gaining 15 off its own skill, plus the 5 from the Axial Circle, swinging a hefty 29. Now, the funny part is, this is where those grade 0 heals come in huge, being able to guard for 20k, which is a very good number to guard for on this attack. But it looks like Gize is choosing to take the damage, losing 1 Tiruwa out of the deck. And then we're going to start our swing with the Lambros. Using its skill, we are probably going to choose to restand the column that Pursuit and Nikki are in.
Just want to say, because that was a Tiruwa taken out, there's only 1 Tiruwa in Attack Gize's build. So that means that no more in the deck, which could be dangerous later on. Oh. Still
Okay.
nothing. Wow.
Very piece checks. Those are a lot of pieces that are very useful, but no triggers.
And then going for one more attack on that big Coral Assault. Yeah, actually, that Coral Assault is probably the biggest swinger. Like, even considering the boost from Nikki, that Coral Assault probably does the most damage. And we are going to see that Nikita come into play here. Being able to, well, now that we don't have Echoes, no need to keep our Soul for any reason. May as well use it for that Nikita to kind of get ourselves a free guard.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, does Michael want to use that Coral Assault skill? Yes, he does. Because it's always interesting to see when a Thavas player wants to use that skill or not, because sometimes it's not the right choice, just because it's like, okay, I don't have enough attackers in my hand right now to replace this, so just deciding to, keep it back.
And we do see the ride into Reindeer from Gize here. Getting that Force 1. And now, let's go ahead and take a look what our Highlander strategy brings us for our new re-ride.
Yep. So here in this situation, some of the best re-rides is usually Aneska or Lura. So those are some of the best options that you usually want to re-ride into. Of course, you have other options too, like you can go more aggressive with like Lupina, or you can go for Tira. But honestly, usually Aneska providing all the extra excel markers, protects, and force markers on first ride isn't too terrible. And Lura causes you to deck them like crazy, since you call out any cards you want from top 10 to the board. You can call out all normal units; they all get 10k power, and then you just decked in 5 cards essentially. So very interesting choices. That's probably the funnest part about Highlander is sometimes you don't know what the attack pattern is, because like sometimes some freestands, some you call over, some you want to talk with Vanguard first. It's going to be interesting to see kind of what that top 10 is going to be looking like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that also makes it so that Michael's decision making then is probably going to be a lot more difficult over the course of these turns. Meanwhile, Ataki's probably has all these like situations down to muscle memory just off of playing this deck so much. So it's like, okay, I know the situation for each random chance. You don't.
I do want to give a shout out to that grade 2 that was just placed there, Courteous Beauty Saria. Very strong card. Being able to cycle the worst card in your hand for the best card from the top 3, and also gains a lot of power. So despite being only a filter, also is able to convert itself into attacker as well. And in this kind of deck, you are able to just kind of evaluate what's in your deck. We do get a very nice timed heal trigger, being able to clean off that counterblast and being able to go ahead and donate power. One of the good things about that Vanessa on the rearguard circle as well is that she is on boost or attack, meaning that even as an attacker, we are able to cycle her back into the deck. Michael does get a second damage heal trigger, but at that damage point, this does not go off. Then we do get the draw trigger, so 2 damage triggers onto Michael's side. Tava sitting at a very pretty 32k, Pursuit Assault sitting at a very bulky 19k as well. I wonder what Attack Gize will do. Ooh, ditching the Nezca. That is something we did want to ride into, unfortunately.
Yeah, which is fine. Something to note, you mentioned Syria earlier. So Syria lets you look at top 3, which also gives you knowledge of what your bottom 2 cards are, which also helps you set up your attack patterns. So for example, if you look at top 3 and you see some of your ride targets, and you're putting them at the bottom, you know you're not going to hit them, right? So you can kind of prepare your attack patterns better. So in this situation, that's why probably Attack went into the Vanguard first, because sometimes if you know, for example, Lura is in that bottom part, there's no reason to swing. You would prefer to swing with rear guards then, and then recall over those rear guards with Lura. But if Lura's at the bottom, then stuff like this where you have Olivia instead was the better choice. So I think the attack pattern here was a big change. Like they might have seen something throughout their cards, or maybe they have it in their hand and they just knew like, hey, I can easily attack with Vanguard here and not have to worry about having to call over rear guards that haven't attacked yet.
This is an interesting choice here, because there were a lot of very good choices among those top cards. Like there was, for example, an Olivia. Obviously the Olivia. There was an Ange. There's a Kutide. I think I also saw a Lupina.
Yeah, I think this is the best choice.
Yeah. The one thing though that's very comfortable for Michael right now is that Atakis can't hit with the Vanguard.
Exactly. That is correct.
So,
that's correct. So a force marker choice was pretty important there. Not having an Escas kind of hurts, because there could have been extra force markers.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, also just riding any of the any of those grade 3s also would
Oh.
have given a force marker.
I
Oh,
will
wait,
say
this
that
gives-
grade 1 behind Olivia actually gives 10k to the Vanguard, so this will still be
Oh.
at least somewhat. It's not hitting, but it'll at least force out it's still a 1 to pass, I think, right now.
Yeah.
It is I think it's a 14k. I don't remember the exact base that's on it. Yeah, it's a 14k, so it's 24 right now.
Okay, so 1 to pass right now. It's up to Michael though to decide. Okay, do I want to? Okay, just
There's Crystal
go
Pop
for it.
Eve.
I
And it
guess.
looks like that
maybe-
attack was going into the Pursuit Assault as well, so Michael
Oh.
just giving that up. Then we still have 2 more attacks that are able to hit. I think the scary part as well is that even on a 1-2 pass, that Olivia gaining the crit due to what was restood is also super scary.
Exactly. If that had hit, it would have been hitting for 2 damage or 3 potentially with the trigger on it. Here we have a nice choice too. So Finessa swinging, and notice that Ataku did not use Finessa earlier, and the reason being is they would have lost the condition of having the rear guards and restanding it.
And looks
So
like
here they are
Finessa
doing it here now.
has taken out the Pursuit Assault. So Michael losing 2 of the best attackers in the deck. Hopefully we have some Corals and some Narissas to replace the aggression that we're looking for. But yeah, Finessa being able to cycle a card back into the deck, draw itself, but also go back into Soul is probably one of its strongest key points.
Yep, and it's grade 3 or greater, so you can send 4s or higher back. So it doesn't have to be specifically grade 3. Something that other cards like this don't do as well, like Steza. And interesting enough, we did see the pop Eve in drive check, so potentially, if Otak wants, he should just straight up ride into Eve if they choose to, and just go through that approach where you have the double triggers active.
That is true, but on the other hand, we have seen Atakis go through, I think 5 or 6 triggers already in public information.
Yep.
So that also could be a bit riskier as well to do that because, it's getting down there in terms of how many triggers are left. Meanwhile, for Michael, so far I think it's only like 3 triggers that are public information.
Do you want
Especially
to point
because
out
of the
that
blanks.
due to that double defensive that Michael was able to get, not the best call off of Dennis, unfortunately, but due to that double defensive, Michael's hand is fairly healthy. So hopefully we did manage to find, like we said, a lot of that pieces that we saw last turn. Choosing to actually snipe
choice.
the back row there. I
That's
also
a good
agree,
choice.
very good choice. We don't want those extra 10Ks to start adding up over
Yeah,
time.
that 10k is big. And that card is so underused because it's so specific. It only works in decks like Rivier and decks like this deck. You have to constantly keep your writing into grade 3s or higher for that card to even work. And it has to be during battle phase. So it's perfect in Highlander. But that 10k matters a lot. That makes your Vanguard just way more lethal.
Yeah. And it just keeps not only more lethal, it just keeps providing that pressure. It just keeps providing the pressure that the opponent will always just have to keep dealing with every single turn. A constant threat.
Exactly. And even at a 1 to pass, a 24k base attacking at you is not you still have to guard it. So
What I see from Michael is actually kind of interesting. We saw that despite having such a big hand, and despite having those really nice drive checks with regard to combo pieces last turn, we decided to go for the Dennis and try and quote-unquote RNG a unit onto the board rather than from hand get a better unit onto the board. What is nice to note though is that Michael at 3 damage right now, and on a Vanguard that does 3 drive checks, and depending on what was drawn and what we know to be drawn, triple drive and finding 2 heals will put Michael back into a very strong state where once again they do have the leisure to be able to soak up a lot of damage on the next turn. But if there's a deck that ever does a turbo out force markers like crazy, it would be Highlander Reindeer. 3 force markers a turn, 3 markers of force markers on the first turn, and then 2 force markers each turn after that. Does add up pretty quickly.
Yeah, it definitely piles on. And one thing as well is that, the 3 force markers. But Michael also does have a pretty big turn here as well. Because it's probably going to be Dennis Pursuit and then Coral. Because that will allow for Coral's skill to activate. And then Coral will be getting that restand as well. The one that has a column in it. Oh. Wow, that's so big. 32. Cool.
Yep.
And if interesting, okay.
The 20k heals coming in big, being able to guard that exactly.
That's very funny. Like, just going, oh yeah, I happen to run that card that can block that. Oh, I'm surprised by attacking with this soon. I thought Michael was going to attack with Vanguard first to get the chance of hitting a heal.
Mm-hmm.
Because this would
defensive trigger is very good on Gize's side of things, but with all the Axel markers we have now, with our Coral Assaults as well, like, we are already swinging very high numbers. So, despite that defensive trigger, we still might have to take another damage here. Luckily for Attack Gize, we don't have the Wheel Assaults to extend further than this last attack, but nonetheless, are able to weed out some cards from hand on this Vanguard swing if we don't have that PG, which is going to be drawn out there using the Eve as discard fodder. And let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. Ooh.
Oh, dang.
Crit power
Sure.
onto that Coral.
Yep.
One more crit would be so devastating here.
There's a Thomas.
Oh,
And there's a Nikki. Okay. So only one crit to play with. Gize can opt to take this damage, but it is probably in their best interest to guard this one as well.
yeah, because that is going to be a 52 if it swings.
52, we are sitting at 23, so we would need 30 to guard. 2 triggers guards it pretty nicely. So rather than taking the 2 damage to play on a deck that doesn't actually use too much counterblast each turn cycle, may as well just soak it, may as well just guard it so you have more damage buffer on the turn after.
I agree. Both of these, I would say both of these decks don't require too much counterblast to do what they need to do. So you can just kind of keep going. And Highlander especially, you can do everything you need to do without a single counterblast most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think
like
the only place to do are like if you have the Tira, but because the Tira is in the damage zone, you don't really have to care.
Oh, Gize actually opting to take the damage here.
Wow.
First, second, ooh, okay. So we lose a Reindeer and we
And a
lose
Lupina.
a Lupina. So that is one option of a rewrite off of Reindeer lost, as well as we lost Eve into the drop zone. Hopefully we did recycle some of our stronger pieces back into the
Yeah.
deck.
I think Lura and Eska are still in deck. To be honest, with the way the force markers are structured right now, Lupina is usually won't be the best choice here because only the front row will be restating unless you put something in the back row. And the Reindeer won't matter too much either because you can't rewrite into Reindeer anyway. So the goal here is essentially to go after Lura for the finisher here and hope you have Pro Sisters.
And even in Laura, we also know that Olivia went back to our deck off of Reindeer skills. So Olivia still also a really good option as well to put on that crit pressure now that Michael is at 3 damage.
I agree, and this
Very
this
true.
deck is just gonna keep accelerating. Notice we have 3 force markers. We're about to have more. Here comes a
4
fourth
force
one.
markers.
So this is gonna get very lethal.
Yeah, I think again against this kind of deck, it's something that I always kind of found myself jealous about was how quickly they were to amass force markers, being able to.
Oh, there's the
between-
Pearl Sisters.
Oh,
Here it comes.
Okay,
Here it comes.
This is scary.
These are 48k attacking numbers because Pearl Sisters work where they each give each other pretty much a 18k base and a crit. So essentially both of these are attacking for 28k, and the base is active just like Pursuit Assault where it's continuous on both sides. So both of these will be attacking for pretty much for the force markers plus the 28k base on their own. And on top of that, if sometimes you can even recycle these. I think in this situation the best call is to attack with Vanguard and then attack with them and restand them.
Let me just tell you, Michael is probably very happy that Lupina is gone.
Yeah, Lupina with this would have been interesting, but honestly, Olivia and Lura
Olivia
are also
is
good.
what I'm most afraid of right now if I was in Michael's seat.
The crit would be all to the front row.
And now I'm not sure if Attack Gize had shuffled their deck through any ability in the turn prior, so that Olivia would still be at the bottom. But
I was thinking the same.
But if we have 10 cards in deck and Olivia's the 10th card, rewriting into Olivia is really scary. But based on the number of cards it's looking like, probably not going to go into Olivia.
No, we can because the bottom card was something Vanessa sent back. I actually think Olivia might be in there. Oh no, it's not. So we're going into Anj? The Olivia is the last card. The Olivia is actually the last card. That is so unfortunate. Oh my goodness. It was
And
actually on the
that's-
bottom. If there's one more way to get a card to the bottom, that actually could have hit Olivia here.
Wow. Wow. That is crazy that it just happens to be the very last card.
Yeah,
That's
but
so
at the bottom.
Inches.
But this is still a good ride as well. You get extra force, you get a force, an excel, and a protect off of this scale. You have to reveal top 10 again, essentially. But obviously, like I think there is exactly 10 cards right now in the deck, so you can just reveal all of them here, and then there it is. Of course, they're all normal units of different, and you pretty much just shuffle your deck, and you get your markers here. And now we have a pretty brutal turn here, regardless. That force markers is probably going to go on the other Pearl Sister, since one of them already has the trigger, and it's going to be very interesting here.
The scary thing here, though, for Atakis is that you have to win this turn. Because if not, Michael will have so many
Four.
attacks.
Probably 4 Excel markers, and yeah, you're not wrong. I will say though, we will get a little extra draw, a little extra power, some defense here, but it won't be. I don't think it'll be enough to survive another Thavas turn. Putting on the Vanguard, maybe. I would opt to put on Vanguard, either Vanguard or Pearl Sister, just to apply pressure. I think putting the Vanguard is good pressure.
I think on the Vanguard at this point, because you know that Michael is probably looking to take at least one of the Pearl Sister attacks.
There's the draw off the Excel.
Being able to, should Michael take, or force Michael to overguard or put some more cards as investment into the Vanguard attack, could make the difference between one of the Pearl Sister attacks being able to go through.
I forgot you get another force marker. That's right, because you get one on the ride and one off of her skill. That is 2 force markers. That's 2 force markers per column. Like this is Luart stuff here.
Yeah. Man. One thing to consider, though, Michael has not shown any perfect cards outside of the one that was just called last turn. So it's very possible that Michael has just perfect card in hand for both Pearl Sisters.
And Michael has been drawing a lot. Every turn being able to get an extra drive, every turn being able to get that extra Axel Pursuit Assault, every turn is on board is another draw as well. We could be holding all of our PGs in hand for this Windmill Slam turn. Not to mention we also have that 2 damage to play with. Don't forget that.
Yup, exactly. And honestly, that early defense just really helped with the hand here, because this is the kind of situation where if you take the Vanguard here, you have to guard the rear guards because of the crit pressure, or you guard the Vanguard, hope that there's no crit, and just easily take one Pearl Sister and just PG the other one.
So it looks like, based on the way Michael is kind of fiddling around with the hand, I'm guessing there's 1 PG that is allotted to this turn, and it looks like a no guard, or kind of like talking about power.
Yeah, honestly, you can say no guard to this because you know you're not dying as long as you can guard the other 2.
Yeah, but those other 2 are coming in huge. Like,
yes.
Yeah, that's 38 unboosted, or not 38, 48 unboosted for both of them. And then because they have boosters, they get even bigger.
So hard guarding this probably for a no pass here, just since it's only 1 track check. Though it is a pretty. Now thinking about it, that actually she's 34. You have to guard quite a bit to get over. Yep.
That's 27, 37, 47, so no pass.
Yeah, but that's a perfect guard.
That's
Another draw.
PG. So I thought Gize now has 2 PGs in hand,
Michael can
including
just
the
take
protect marker.
Sad part is PGs don't even help you against Excel decks.
Especially with how many attacks Thomas is looking to get, because we do know about the rewrite in hand next turn. We do know that Thomas will be able to retire the grade 2 Pearl Sister, which then dumps the grade 1 Pearl Sister down, but also removes intercept off of Gize's board. This is a damage we choose to take. We do get 1 defensive at least. We get a 2nd defensive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Double defensive.
Wow. The real gamer plays here. Defensive after defensive. That's insane. And now this makes this number so much more guardable too.
Yeah.
And with that hand, you can honestly perfect guard it, probably guard it with 2 cards. You'll have no problem dealing with this. It's going to be a pretty scary situation for Otaka coming up here.
Ooh,
Dropping
okay.
down 30k to guard there. It looks like we still need some more to guard.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, that was the bigger of the 2 columns.
Yeah.
So.
Is that 3 force markers on that column there?
Well, it's gonna be more,
it's probably gonna be a 3rd one now, depending where they put it. Oh, they put on the Excel marker. That is always the funniest thing to see. You don't see it very often because normally games are finished at this point. Highlander usually can't survive very long, but we are seeing like a very, very close match here. So we actually got a chance to even see a double marker that isn't Rising Nova.
We'll call that the farce, the Axorce
The X-Source marker. You heard it here first.
All right.
Fork cell. Axle.
Fork cell.
Like the next spork.
The
All right.
spork.
Here's our 4th Axel marker.
Yup.
And that Pursuit Assault that has been on board now is sitting at a plus 20k natural buff. Oh, off the top
my
of Pursuit
gosh.
Assault. Oh.
That is insane, actually. That is the one thing you want to see in the perfect timing.
And not only that, that's like the perfect card to see specifically so that you could call it in front of the Nikki so that you have a big column to swing or to restand with on the Lambros.
And there goes the Pearl Sister, just as Toku predicted.
I'm gonna use the Nikki to put the Lambros back into that, grab a soul charge, and just looking for some units to call to that front row, and then we are off to the races.
Oh my goodness, that is
Now,
such a... Ooh.
based
By
on
that?
what you guys remember seeing off of Atagi's top 10, do we have any heals left that we can play for?
I, think we
I
have
don't
one.
think so.
Either 1 or 0.
I think there might be one, but I actually think I'll talk Druid to it, but I could be mistaken.
Alright, so based on what we believe, having no heals left in deck, Atagi has to play with all the cards in their hand to make it through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, possibly 9 attacks.
Yeah. Honestly, pretty guardable. We do know about the perfect guards, and we the Excel drew the extra card. We did get a lot of drawing here, but yeah,
that's a
this is getting harsher and harsher with each card that's getting called out.
Narissa is
my.
also a really good one to call out as well. Being able to use Pursuit Assault to rest it, and when she is rested by an ability, you can also Soul Blast one to restand her and give her 10k, and that 10k will persist throughout the turn, so that's another really strong attacker. Sitting at 23 magic numbers, this is going to force out at least a trigger worth of guard.
Yep.
That's huge. And not only this, that means that because there's so many attacks that are hitting for above 23, that means a lot of these attacks, like for example the Coral Assault, the 2 Pursuit Assaults, those are both all of those are 2-card guards minimum. And in addition to that, the Vanguard will be a 2-card guard. So that's already 8 cards out of hand. And that's not even counting the restand for the Pursuit Assault. I don't know if there's enough cards in hand to block all of this.
Looks like we're doing a quick trigger check here. Every trigger does matter at this point. That does mean the difference between an extra card in guard or being able to end the turn with 0 cards in hand. And Highlander is a deck that is able to play with 0 cards in hand, because at the end of the Twin Drive that Ranger does, you manage to rewrite into Allura, and that is all the advantage you needed back immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Lura's a little scary here, though, because honestly, we know that deck size, it's insanely small, and Lura forces out a lot of cards out of decks. So you have to be very careful how you do it.
It is very tiny.
Yeah, there's like a 7-card deck there. But, honestly, you don't have to call everything. You can choose to call like 2 attackers or something. They do get an extra 10k buff, but we'll see. I don't even remember seeing the Lura in that top 10, whatever we saw, so it might be possible that Lura might be already out.
Maybe stuck in hand.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, this is gonna be a very aggressive turn. This is looking
Wheel
spicy
as well.
Yep.
Deciding to go all in, putting that Wheel Assault down, and that Wheel Assault does get us an extra attack here.
I'm interested to see why the Wheel Assault was put down. Maybe just for numbers, because it's not doing much outside of that.
Numbers is a really good reason. Being able to turn a Lambros from just 25 to 33 is a huge deal when you're going for your final turn push.
That's fair. That's fair.
Going to be able to restand the entire board here, and that Wheel Assault then also being able to do some shuffle, moving after restanding the Pursuit Assault, maybe being able to move it onto an Axel Circle for that extra 5k as well. Being able to turn it from 29 to a 34 does make a huge difference.
I don't know if I agree with using that 15k shield right there.
I mean, the decision is to guard as much as you can. How else are you gonna guard?
Yeah.
I mean, there were smaller shields in the hand is my point.
Oh, I do see a 20k shield in hand right now.
Also having the 15k girl, because there's that girl that, I think her name is Reliable Faith. She gains also 5k for having a lot of force markers on the board. Also good, she intercepts. So.
Going for the Coral Assault before anything else. That's interesting. I'm surprised that Michael is not
My
attacked
goodness.
with the Pursuit Assault to just try and at least give an opportunity for more triggers to just spread out the power.
We still have the perfect guards in hand. I think the decision here is to keep guarding and then start perfect guarding everything else.
Yeah.
Because
I don't
honestly,
necessarily agree with attacking with that one right now.
well,
'Cause you could have, Michael could have attacked with the other one first, and then attacked with the Vanguard to restand that and have 2 Pursuit Assaults after the Vanguard swing.
well, it is their decision.
That's true. And this is a
But-
2-card guard no matter what.
Yeah, well, in this situation, honestly, so I think there's 3 perfect guards in hand, right? So you can essentially perfect guard this, perfect guard Van, maybe potentially, or hard guard this, perfect guard Van, perfect guard the column, and perfect guard the column again. Like, I don't know what else you'd be able to do here. Because there's 3 more attacks coming. Actually, no, well, 1 that's attacking, and then 1 off the Vanguard, and then 2 off the column that will be restanding.
Even then, Atak's hand is actually still kind of beefy, surprisingly, but
Yeah.
Each Sentinel is a -2 from hand, and having
Is that
to
a
use one
Cocytus
for
perfect
pursuit-
guard?
It
That's,
is.
I do
Oh
think
my
that was a
gosh.
Cocytus.
Oh, that's my husband! Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I saw my husband.
No, it's okay. I see my husband on the Pursuit Assault as well, so I definitely understand the enthusiasm.
So here's another perfect guard.
Oh, having to
Oh.
use Blue Solos, which is one of the larger 1-card guards in the deck that a deck can provide. And here comes the Lambros, choosing to probably restand that column there.
Yep.
They both gain 5k.
Yep.
And after this as well, we can move that Nikki that's actually behind the Pursuit Assault onto an Axel Circle, which then gives us that 1 extra attack at a larger value. 1 drive, 2 drive. We do see the Pashal getting that 10k, putting it onto the Nikki, because that Nikki is the smaller one. We do want to be able to push it up, and even post 6 damage heal, be able to go for a game.
So this here is a heal or die. If there is another heal still in deck.
1 damage, and it is
That's it.
not the heal. Michael, the
Nope.
Titleist, being able to get the victory using Aqua Force. I cannot be happier. Bias is very clear here.
Wow, yeah, that was an insane match. Honestly, we saw 2 very big turning points there, and that was the early defenses and not Olivia. I
Yeah.
think had the Olivia been hit, that last turn, if we would have led to it,
Yeah.
would have been completely different. Because if you saw, Otak had the perfect guard, the last perfect guard. So if there was 1 less attack, or maybe even 2 less attacks, I actually think Otak would have survived and probably would have won the game. Like, because there
Yeah.
would have been not enough guard to deal with like 7 or 8 Excel markers, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm not
Like,
Excel markers, sorry, Force markers.
I think for sure, being able to go Pearl, Olivia Pearl would
Would have been-
probably be the straw that would have broken the camel's back and would
It
have
would have been
either
over.
ran Michael out of resources, in which case all those Axel markers would not have been able to be filled, unironically.
Yep.
And then with that, the momentum would then go back into Gize's grasp with all those force markers that we were able to amass throughout the turns, probably grasp the fight that way.
Exactly. No, 100%.
And I mean, like, we still had another 2 attacks left on that turn.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did. Yeah, that
So-
Olivia would have just
Yeah.
really made the difference. Unfortunately, that was literally the last card in deck. That
One-
was so painful.
1 card down. It just goes to
It
show
was
that,
one
like,
card.
if maybe I thought Gize kind of like counted through the card, saw 11, maybe like had another card in hand that could dig 1 card deeper.
Yep.
Maybe like maybe if Finesse hadn't been used yet, or maybe like even deciding to like use one of the cards that could even like shuffle the deck.
Yeah,
Because
anything to help it.
that could have made the big difference. But nonetheless, I was very happy to see Atok Gize like pilot that Highlander
Oh, yeah.
deck to like such skill. Like I think I was like shaking in my boots when I saw that double Pearl Sister down. I knew that Olivia was still in rotation.
Yep.
But Michael being able to just put on the pressure from the get-go, getting those Pursuit Assaults out early, getting that Pursuit Assault off the top column of Dennis, fantastic play from both players. Now, with that
Yep.
being said, we do have 1 match still going on, and we're going to let them finish up, and we will see you back after this short break. Thank you very much for sticking by.
Bye. Hello and welcome back. We just finished the top 8 runs, And wow, Toku just threw something. Congratulations.
It was my non-PR thing saver dragon, because I'm going to talk to the winner and get the PR thing savers.
It would have been funnier if you threw like a $500 card. Just a normal day.
Okay, no, it was not.
Maybe they're the really expensive thing savers that already exist, the VSRs.
Oh, there you go. Good ideas.
Very true, very true.
All right, but with that being said, so we just finished top 8. We're going into top 4 coming up here shortly. Let's go ahead and check out the brackets. See how that's doing.
Alrighty, running us up, we have at the top bracket for the semis, Michael the Titleist piloting Aquaforce versus Man Long playing Anj.
And this is going to be an exciting one because Man Long is the person who won in EU and did not drop a single game the entire tournament. And so far in every single tournament, the undefeated has won that tournament. So this is the undefeated of this tournament going against the champion of the European tournament. And then we've also got Sabrier, our friend, versus the Gumi guy. And I wouldn't mind seeing Sabrier on stream a third time.
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah. We have been seeing Sabre quite a lot, and honestly, we've been seeing a really well-piloted Grand Blue. As a Grand Blue main, I much respects. Definitely well played.
Absolutely. And I mean, like, I think we've talked about this on stream already, but like, where we are all pretty well acquainted with Sabrier. I actually have never talked to the Gumi guy before, though, so I would love to talk to this person as well.
Yep. I was talking to Sabre this morning, actually, so it's very exciting to hear. Just kind of like the preparation for good old top 8.
And I do want to point out that Sabre was against the boogeyman of the format in Gurgit and managed to eke it out. So I do want to find out that story. I will talk to Sabre myself to figure out what happened in the top 8, but it is something very interesting to note that Sabre was managed to get the victory over Gurgit. So now, after the top 8, we have no more Gold Paladin left. So Gold Paladin will not have a chance of getting gold in NA BRO 2022.
Yep.
Not only in NA, in any.
Yeah. Crazily enough, like, the most talked deck has the least amount of showings. Like, that's crazy. Well, not the least amount of showings, but not as crazily. Like, I was kind of expecting, like, a Prism showing where it's, like, 70% of Gurgit and it's, like, everything else. But strangely enough, like, we've been seeing it not be like that, which is probably a good thing. I think part of it is that there are other decks that are also consistent, and it's like consistency versus consistency. And it's just whoever just hits the more consistent deck, whoever just consists faster. So
And also, I wanna mention right now, our top 4 is all 3 different Magallanica clans. We've got Grand Blue.
Oh, Blue
Aquaforce,
clans, let's go!
and Grand Blue.
Get down in blue!
Or a Bermuda
Let's go
Triangle.
blue.
Yeah, we got all 3 of them, and that is honestly really exciting because I think this is the first time I've ever seen a top 8 or a top 4 where all 4 of the decks were like one nation, but not all the same clan.
Yeah.
that is true. I think it's really cool. I personally am a big Megallonica fan, especially, with Stoicheia being involved in it too. So I'm always down to see these types of decks perform. I always think they're very unique playstyles. Like Aquaforce has its own playstyle, Bermuda has its own playstyle, and Grand Blue has its own playstyle. They're all very unique and very different to each other, and honestly kind of do like a different type of style. So I'm actually pretty excited to see. I'm just happy to see them topping.
Oh, yeah. For sure. I do kind of want to bring us into the discussion about predictions. Like, we know that we saw Michael be able to get that victory over the Highlander variant of Bermuda Triangle, but then we are seeing Michael in the semis have to fight it out against Man Long against the Anj Highlander variant. Give me your guys' thoughts on that. Orange, tell me about what Man Long has to do to get the victory, and then Peter, I'm going to pass it back to you after. Tell me what Michael would have to do as a Tavis player to try and get the victory.
I think you just have to go first. I hate to put it that way, but it's, if you think about it, so like I mentioned this while we were in top 8 cut, but so the thing about it is that Thavas generates markers, correct?
Yeah.
Anj generates markers as well. And
Correct.
we had the same issue with Highlander as well. They generate a lot of markers, the regular version, right? So when you think about it like that, if you go first, you have the advantage of marker generation faster. So it'll help you a lot because you'll have the double force, and then you can have even more force, and you have even more force. So you can shred through your opponent's hand faster, even through heal guards and everything. And I think that makes a big difference, especially since Excel, as each Excel builds, that's an extra attack, and as each force marker builds, that's extra shield that you have to guard with, essentially. So personally, as awful as it sounds, I think going first is going to make a big difference because we saw that in the Highlander in top 8 as well. You know, he went second. I think that actually pushed him behind. Like, it made it harder for him to catch up and do his thing. And Highlander is extremely aggressive turn after turn after turn. So if you go first and you're pushing that aggression, I just think it matters more. I think in Anj is kind of a similar situation. So that's personally what I think. I think just in general, maybe some early guarding to deal with like Excel type of matchups will probably be a big deal too, because you have more room for like defenses to shut down turns, sort of what we saw Michael do in the opposite sense, where two defenses shut down pretty much the entire Highlander turn. So that's my thoughts.
Absolutely, and I want to say about this matchup as well, on the Thava side at least. On the Thava side, going first definitely does help because you get that extra tempo, you get to just push a little bit further, and you get to just swing face the same way that Suo did in the AO tournament. He even said that's how he won the tournament. He just kept rushing, just no care in the world. But I think in this matchup also, Thavis might have a slight advantage to the point where, like, because you can still win even going second a little bit easier than Anj does. Because you're going second, you have actually a reason to want to go second because you get that extra offensive buff off of the Lambros, which can go an extra stage in terms of how much power you're forcing out of your opponent from shield. In addition to that, you also have a lot of ways to build up your hand, and because Anj is not quite as explosive as Highlander, we saw that Michael was able to survive that Highlander turn, and it was like definitely a lot stronger than most Anj turns.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, 100%. Anj is more about the defensive offensive approach. You're defensively grabbing cards. You're offensively attacking 5 times, essentially, or 4, I should say. So with that being said, like, you having that defense offenses is what you're sacrificing, whereas Highlander actually doesn't survive that long, which is actually very interesting to see that we were able to see like a pure Highlander survive as long as they did, because they usually have a lot of bricks in their hand. But we saw quite the opposite. I think if with the 2 more cards in hand, and I think that the Highlander player would survive. But in Anj's case, you have a pretty massive hand, so you can kind of deal with all these little pokes and stuff like that a little bit easier.
Now, like, even though we have that massive hand, like, I do believe that Manlong is playing that, like, Kutire with the Rolenka variant.
Yep.
So, as we said before, we are heavily overloaded on our grade 3 count.
Yep.
So, there is a chance that our hand is, as we like to call it, fake. And
Yep.
against a deck that aggresses us so much. And, like, these aren't just, like, 5k guard to poke attacks. These are, like, real numbers, like, hitting over a defensive trigger. I think basically a lot of the onus to winning will be on Manlong to being able to dig for those pieces very quickly and convert the hand into proper guard values. But at the same time, Michael having access to those real attackers in Narissa, in Coral, in Pursuit Assault as well, these 3 pieces, you will want to definitely collect them going into our more pressure turns to try and definitely thin Manlong's hand going into as we started to go into the late game. Now, that's only our first game of the semis. Our second game will be Sabrier playing Grand Blue versus the Goomy Guy, which I do believe to be playing that Anj deck as well. So, we've already talked extensively about what the Anj deck looks to do. We've already talked extensively about how the Anj deck looks to win. But when playing against Sabrier, very known for his playstyle of like that hyper mill, that playstyle of like, I want to get my Skull Dragons out as soon as possible. Your hand is weak in the early game. If I can hit you with these Skull Dragons early, this is damage I don't have to do in the late game where you've farmed up some hand, found your PGs and such. So in this kind of matchup, who do you guys think has the upper hand? Orange, I'll pass it to you.
I actually think the Grand Blue player, which is Sabri, will have the upper hand here, mainly because Anj does not deal with early aggression, and if Sabri plays his cards right and like really pushes, they can finish the game quicker. Anj is a very like tempo based. I kind of do the same thing over and over again and hope to kill. But when you start watching your opponent heal, or you start seeing the tempo slow down, Anj starts losing faster because you don't really have like a super pressure kill turn. You just have like a tempo based kill turn where you're essentially gaining force markers and constantly bringing out Tira and attacking, right? So, and you're pretty much decorating your deck if you go for the Highlander version where you just make it all triggers. But honestly, there's nothing really too scary. It's just, some attacks, a Vanguard attack, and another rearguard attack. So if you, the more you have of those turns, sometimes it's a downside because you don't have like a finisher. Like, that's why people run the Pearl Sisters, because without that finisher, you're not really applying that much pressure. So eventually the dragons will come out and you will just lose to the dragons.
And oh, they're already here.
Yep.
That's pretty good. I also want to mention Sabrier plays in a way that a friend of mine has described about how I play Granblue as well, very effectively. Plays like he has to be somewhere, and he quite literally does have to be somewhere after this top 8. So.
Oh, that's pretty funny. So we have a Navigator ride, which is actually kind of... Obviously, we don't have another Navigator in hand, so we'll see kind of what happens here. Sometimes in these situations, if I see a Navigator ride, I'll choose not to swing to actually not have the Granblue player be able to Columbard for another Navigator and start resting and doing a bunch of mill cycling.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with you.
Big thing on this matchup as well is that Sabrier is not playing against Excel. Excel is such a rough time for Granblue.
Ooh.
It is.
Almost all the Excels are gone. Oh my, what?
This is an insanely a Weaselite to a Weaselite, an Ellie with an on hit. We have a Sedna on top of that, and actually Sedna does not. He called from hand. I'm pretty sure they called it from hand. Never mind, we're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're looking for the top 5 here to get a grade 3 to start that pusher. And Sedna has an extra 5k on top of her, so this is actually a very good starting turn. I don't know if it's a good idea to push, but if you are trying to kill before the mill matters, then that is also another good approach here.
Mm-hmm. And I think, yeah, the repercussions of having to ride into Navigator instead of having another grade 1 to ride into, then being able to start your mill like very early. We might see its issue here, but over on Sabrier, I wonder if we see the Heal Guardian to kind of like walk past this turn, and we sure do. Very nice to see over on Sabrier's side of things.
I'll try to see what that card behind the Vanguard is, and I actually can't tell for once, but we'll find out eventually.
The color palette kind of reminds me of Nikita.
Steza? That's Steza or Nikita? I think it's Nikita. I think you're right. I think I see the little head.
Yeah. But being able to not let Gumi Guy get that Ellie on hit to just basically pick up a very strong shield value into the hand. But still looking down the barrel of 2 more attacks that Lieselot's not going to hit unless that was a trigger that I saw.
They passed her.
Passing. I like
Smart.
this.
Very smart. So this is what I was talking about. I am so proud of Gumi Guy right now. As someone who plays against Granblue a lot, I love this type of play because it really shuts down the turn. So here we have the shutdown actually happening right here. Nothing to call out.
Oh.
No milling is going to happen. No Navigator because they rode the Navigator. So all you can do here is just mill off of Banshee, which is not enough to apply that much pressure. Though, and you want to you can actually guard this attack if you really want to, or they could even double intercept here, or they could take it just to prepare for their own stuff. And that is a trigger. That is a crit.
That
is
spooky a good
there.
Trigger. I do kind of want to mention as well that playing Protect into Force as well just makes it that much harder for Sabri, because despite Gumi Guy quote unquote overextending and presenting these two Lieselot as potential attack targets, our base cards being only 9k make it really hard for Sabrier to actually punish Gumi Guy for presenting those units.
Absolutely. And I just want to also say, it is very unfortunate for Sabrier that he had to ride Navigator and call Banshee, because you want the exact opposite.
Yeah.
So it looks like we are seeing here Aqua.
Oh my
Maybe
goodness.
That was an Aqua? Yep, Aqua into Aqua with a Liesel on the front row. We have the Sedna with Akita and the Liesel on the back row. More pressure. Aqua does have additional 5k, so still swinging for just a little bit of a poke here.
Almost made me forget that Gumi Guy just rode up to grade 2.
Yep. So there's a Surreal the Ghosty going to damage, so no extra shield will be happening there, as that is a one of. Another Heal Guardian coming out.
Very nice. Sabrier this time deciding to take a damage first to be able to do the plays definitely on his side. We definitely want to be able to cycle some Stormlight Ghost ships now. Good thing about Stormlight Ghost ships now as well is that even through a Heal Guardian, we are able to swing because of that 15k buff.
Yep. Exactly. And deciding here to give another counterblast or not, because then that'll make Sabri go into another decision-making tree. Do I go into Night Rose, have the counterblast, but Columbard is also a counterblast if you want to be able to search stuff out. And see here, we are asking for the drop zone to kind of secure. Do I give the extra counterblast, potentially having another Columbard in hand, and choosing to swing or not? They are choosing to swing because that drop zone is not looking too well. They'll probably take it, honestly, in the situation. They could guard it if they don't have the Columbard in hand, though.
Ooh, using a crit to guard as well. So choosing to play into the grade 3 turn with only 1 damage. We do get the Night Rose ride here, which means that we are able to get our easy attacks off. I wonder if we have a Beatrice to be able to call it off, but
no. I think what we're seeing here is honestly a little bit of a Granblue brick. That's what I've been seeing because these rides have not been great, and that counterbusting out early I think is actually really punishing right now for Sabri.
For sure. This is interesting though that like that 1 damage from turn 2 would have helped so much this game.
Oh, 100%. It would have been we would have been looking at a completely different game right now. We would have seen either a bigger drop zone or maybe a Beatrice or just anything to apply pressure, but we are seeing like very little happening. And that is a lot of triggers in drop, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, and you can still at least call down the Banshee though, so you can like mill a little bit more, try and get your deck turboed a little bit faster, which is probably what's important.
Oh yeah, that's right. Banshee is a attack or boost, so you could call out like an attacker and then call her behind. And we don't even have a ghost ship right now, and we can't even draw.
No. It is a bit rough for Sabrier. Now, I think the way that Sabrier needs to play this is definitely to start hitting the rear guards. It is unfortunate that our initial first turn attack, we did get that crit trigger, meaning that even if we were able to start attacking the rear guards here against Gumigai, Gumigai does have that 2 counterblast to play with going into their Anj turn as well, meaning that they are able to start stacking those force markers. But we don't want Gumigai to be able to pick up those 2 Lee's Laws. We don't want him to be able to pick up the Nikita, pick up that Aqua for free. So definitely the idea should be to kind of swing at the rear guards here. Hopefully Night Rose isn't restricted to attacking the Vanguard, but we'll see what goes on.
She is not, and honestly, I agree with you at this play. Not only does it shut down Anj a little bit, because Anj is very reliant on normal units, so attacking into the normal units actually helps a lot. But it looks like this was a Vanguard swing here, and we're using the Heal Guardian here to apply probably either the minus crit or I think it's the minus crit.
I think the defensive power also makes us
that's
no
a Skull
pass,
Dragon.
actually.
That's a
Jesse.
Jesse.
Ooh, the Skull is not something you really want in hand.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you have the Protect to kind of use it on the Vanguard, so honestly the Skull Dragon could go away, so it's not the worst thing, but what we really need to see here is ways to apply Mill, so we haven't seen much Greed or Navigate or any of that kind of stuff, and that's, I think, ideally the drive checks you want to see there. We didn't see those.
Yeah. Hopefully for Sabrier, he has, for example, a Columbard in hand, because if he has a Columbard, he can then use it to search for, because now he has the Skull Dragon, he uses it to search for a Greed Shade, use that Greed Shade to then go through more of the deck a little bit faster. That could help. I
agree. It's in situations like this that like Greed Shade comes really in handy, so hopefully we'll be able to see some stuff here. But that's a heal as well, going back down to 2 damage. This is a very it's rare when you see Granblue this slow, but this is a very slow, and that is 2 triggers.
2 triggers.
At least we got the draw.
We are able to get a draw back, but losing those 2 triggers rough, especially with one of them being the crit Sentinel.
Yep. Agreed.
Because the Gumigai hit a defensive heal, that means that all that work this turn has sort of been undone.
Yup, exactly. And that's, again, more damage to play with. If there were to be a hyper mill that would happen at any point, like being at low damage is what you want to be, and that is what we're seeing here. That is an Anj ride, I believe.
I do believe that would be the case. That is the perfect performance.
Yeah, I see the Anj. Yep. So it's an Anj ride. So honestly here, as we were talking about earlier, you can just kind of refund your entire hand back to hand. You don't even really need to do anything. Just swing, and then you have Nikita set up for even guarding some like even if a ghost ship does come out at some point, easy guard.
Having so much hand, being able to afford to be able to call over that Lee's Lot to bounce back the Rolenka that we see there.
Yep.
Honestly, Anj was a card that I always thought was slept on, because like when you see it in this kind of position, Anj reads on attack, counterblast 1, +6.
Yep, essentially, yes. Or 7 if you call the booster back to hand. Sometimes I like to call the booster back to hand just because I like having that 10k shield.
Yes.
In this case, it would be good to grab the Nikita, so Because that is just a really... That card by itself gives you pluses on top of a massive shield.
So we are going to be able to use Anj here, bounce our entire field back to hand, being able to just go ahead, vomit our entire hand onto the field, swing with Anj, vomit it back into our hands, and off of that we are able to go ahead and choose probably a Rolenka from deck to call here. Just deciding where to put the force, I believe.
Rolenka, or honestly, if you really want to try and apply pressure, this would be the time to do it. So Rolenka or Tiro would be the best calls because you want to try and force out that hand or get Sabiri to higher damage. We are aware of the 2 heal gardens already out of deck and being used essentially, so they're not going back. So honestly, the healing won't be that massive here. So you really want to try and push Grand Blue before they have a chance to catch up.
This will be interesting to see as well on how Sabrier decides to like guard this. If Rolenka could restand. If maybe blocking both attacks, because Sabrier has been staying at very low damage, which, like you mentioned earlier, is fantastic for going for that hyper mill.
Yep.
But it might be a bit harder now that he doesn't have that big of a hand anymore.
Yeah. So we have the Rolenka restand here. Looks like we do not.
Oh.
No Rolenka restand, so that is always good to see. We are also able to get that Stormlight Ghost Ship finally into the drop zone. And with this, very low cards in hand, but hopefully being able to mill out all of the cards we need, being able to cycle some Stormlight Ghost Ships to recover the hand that we very so much need.
Agreed. Here's Navigator coming down. We got the 5 mil coming. That's another heal out of deck. I've seen Banshee. Beatrice, which is good. We could finally have that multi-attacking happening.
There's the crit.
And a perfect mills, things we needed, things we saw. Now we could actually have a Rose turn. Yep. And Jesse, I believe, is in drop 2, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember if Sabri guarded with it yet or saw it, but that would be good, useful here to retire and get an attacker going.
All right, let's go ahead and see what Sabri used to do. Maybe have we seen a Negro Bone that we are able to start off our turn with?
That's right. We haven't seen Necrobone. You are correct.
Jesse's a good start.
Jesse is a good start. We need a way to soul blast some of those cards out, but yeah, I'm seeing here we haven't seen a single Necrobone. This is actually really hurting.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. At least Sabrier is able to force out 4 attacks here, which does mean that because Gumi Guy's already gone through 2 heals, that everything that hits from now on will probably just connect cleanly.
Yep. This is as a, I play so much Grand Blue. Watching this is painful. Because this is just some of the worst situations to be in. No bone. You're barely scraping by with some, attackers here. Your hand is slowly depleting. This is hard. This is a hard match.
But if there's ever a way to replenish them, it is both of your copies of Stormlight Ghost Ship. Being able to call one, being able to call the Beatrice.
Just Soul Blasting.
Soul Blasting, calling the Cooling Bard instead. All right, this is the way to start getting the cards you need to put that Negro.
Get that Necrobone out.
Get one. And off of the Cooling Bard, we are able to then call the Stormlight Ghost Ship. We are going to be able to get 4 cards at a minimum on the 2 draft checks, as well as 2 draws, as well as apply some very much needed pressure with our 24k attackers, 29k, mind you, with the Night Rose, and with us being attacking to a grade 3, one of them Storm Rides would be at least an extra 10k.
Yeah. Not only that, this also sets up for next turn as well, because you now have 2 attackers ready on deck as well in the back row.
I think also, so something I mentioned earlier, so as I mentioned, Anj is just a very tempo deck. If Anj doesn't start applying any pressure here, which is really hard to do with Anj unless you have Pearl Sisters, we are going to see slowly but surely Sabiri will be coming back. It'll take some time, it'll take some obviously some turns, but eventually, Grand Blue will start hypermilling. We're starting to see that comeback here. So if the Gumi guy doesn't start somehow pushing for game, we're going to see Sabiri come on top here.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the key cards that I do want Sabrier to get rid of is that Rolenka.
Yeah.
Despite it not having any shield value in hand or on field, the fact that it is able to use its effect to convert itself and 2 other copies into more shield is something that needs to be respected.
Yep, exactly. I think not smacking Rolenka is definitely a really, really smart move. You don't want that staying on the board, and that slowly will become a restander on top of drawing 2 cards, helping your hand size even more. It's just too good to be on the board. It needs to go.
Yeah. And I think knowing as well what the Gumi guy's hand could be, we know the 5 cards that was bounced back. We don't know what Nikita drew, unfortunately, but we know the 5 cards that was bounced back. So we know that one of them was Rolenka. We know some grade 2s and some grade 1s. So we do know that Rolenka could be an easy target to hit here, but it looks like Sabre is choosing to go for the face, which is the place. And with this last attack on the Storm Ride, we are probably swinging once again at Vanguard. Using the Ellie as a big guard.
It is a big guard. Honestly, I was surprised that Sabre gave damage here because Anj requires a Cannon Blast and Tira requires another Cannon Blast. If you want to kind of start pushing and applying pressure, the best thing to do is swing with Rolinka and then recall out Tira to then apply even more pressure, right? So essentially gaining more attacks and giving that extra Cannon Blast actually lets the Gumi guy be able to do this. So we should be seeing some multi-attacking here as long as there's another two Rolinka copies in hand.
This will be interesting to see how Gumi Guy goes for this turn.
I would, if I was Gui guy, I'd be slamming face as heavy as I can, dropping down those aquas. I'd just be going as ham as possible here. Syria is perfect for that. Maybe there's not another Rolinka. Maybe they want to search it out right here with the top 3, hopefully to see it here, because you want to restand with Rolinka. You want to get that tier out. You want to try and finish here, because next turn there might be dragons coming if we get everything, all the pieces set up.
Yeah, and I think that might be what Sabre is doing here, of giving that damage just to make it so that the moment it gets like to that, like, you know, creeping up power every single turn because of those dragons. Because there's, I think, 1 dragon in drop right now, so need 1 more, but it shouldn't be too hard to get that other dragon in drop.
Yeah, oh no, 100%. I think at this point getting the dragon won't be too difficult. So we'll especially with the bone and everything, like it'll come. Its time will come.
Yeah. It's only an inevitability when it comes to Grand Blue sometimes. But a very nice play using the Aqua to be able to bounce the Saria because, like you said, we need to find that second Rolenka real quick. We want to get through our deck. We want to be able to pressure our opponent with some pre-Anj attack multi-attacks.
Exactly. We need to see that Rolenka here. Honestly, the Rolenka could be the difference here from a win to a loss. Because, like, unless you're holding, like, 3 perfect guards, it's not going to be looking so nice. We are only at 3 damage, keep in mind, so we can't afford to take 2, but it's still going to get pretty scary. And you want to at least push to 5 here, if not go for the kill. And then next turn, if you survive the dragon turn, push for a game there. So you definitely want to keep Sabiri at 5, if not going for the full 6.
This will be interesting to see if Gumi Guy got that second Rolenka, because you bounce the Rolenka and then draw, so you do have, or not draw, you bounce the Rolenka and then search for another Rolenka to call out. So all you need is that 1 more.
Yep.
It's just a matter of if Gumi Guy has that other copy.
Yeah, ideally you want to, and we're not boosting, so that is possible. We do have the double Rolinka, getting the restand and the double draw happening right here, so we are going to be seeing a pretty hefty attack coming through here.
Oh, we might get 6 attacks this turn.
No, we are getting 6 attacks this turn. This is 100% what's happening. That Rolinka is on 2 force markers, keep in mind. The next one that will be coming out, or Tira, will be even higher.
Yeah, this is a very strong turn from Gumi Guy here. We do know that Sabrier has been bleeding hand throughout the early game. So this is the time to pounce and try and make it easier that even on the next turn, maybe even on this turn, to try and take advantage of the weakness that Sabrier presented and take the win here.
Yep, this is gonna be very hard to guard, and hopefully those draws that the ghost ships brought were good enough to survive. That is a heal, very big here. This is gonna make a difference. This is exactly what you want to see, because that could be a very big difference in attacks here.
Yes, and not only that, that saves you just 1 more card in hand minimum. But considering the size of these attacks, that's another 2 attacks, or another 2 cards in hand probably.
Yeah.
And
I'll just still be hitting.
Attacks, you need all the cards in hand you can get, because before that, Gumi Guy had more attacks than Sabrier had cards in hand.
Exactly.
Now this brings up a very interesting point of discussion. At this point, Rolenka's on hit is not once per turn. So
it is not.
This second Rolenka here, if it hits, gets Gumi Guy another copy of Rolenka into hand. In which case, the new Rolenka that is called off of Anj can then use its once per turn per card effect to discard the 2 Relenkas we just picked up to once again cycle out for 2 new cards, make our hand a lot better, draw into the PGs we need for the Skull Dragons, and not only that, but push our opponent even deeper towards lethal.
Yep. No, you are 100% correct here. This will be really interesting. And plus, the Tira forces you to discard, so sometimes going to Tira is the worser call, whereas Brinka is just free. And they both do essentially the same thing. They both say, I restand. So, and it looks like he's searching debating on grabbing it from, he was checking there to see if he had an extra copy in deck. It looks like he did, because you can search deck or drop, and he did add 1 more copy here. So now we will have we should have the full combo here. Actually, no, I think they're just going to go for Tira.
Yeah,
I think they're going for Tira.
This kind of reads more towards Tyria, which I don't really agree with. Like, if you have the option at this point to go between another Relenka or to go for Tirawa, I think
it's deck thinning.
I think the play was actually to pick up the Relenka from the drop zone and then call the Relenka in the deck to that stack of force markers.
I agree. It's possible that they wanted to deck them further, and this does require 2 cards out of deck versus 1. So maybe that was the thought process.
This is definitely interesting decision, for sure.
I am wondering if there's another Tira in deck. That's like the only thing I've been kind of concerned about. I don't remember if they were 2 or 3, but we have seen a lot of Tiras come out prior to them coming out of deck yet. But, that is another Relenka.
Oh, one of the finesses put it back. Okay, so yeah,
right.
that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yep, correct.
So with that, yeah, we are able to have all the Relenkas in hand. I think actually now we have all of the Relenkas, whether on board or in hand now.
Yep, so, exactly.
At this point, we can just keep Relenkaing until the cows come home.
Yeah, exactly. This will be, you can just keep grabbing them, and honestly here, so this is probably, I think, a 2 to pass right here, which is, because the Anja's 23 to a 22 Night Rose, but we added a 15k shield, making her 37, so this should be a 2 to pass.
Yeah,
and if any crit is put on, you just give it all to Relenka.
Aqua into PG, so giving obviously the effects to Relenka, as you mentioned, Peter. Oh, wait, no.
Yeah, this doesn't break, does it?
It shouldn't, because that was just 1 perfect guard, so it should have been 33.
33. Yeah, it would have been 33.
And they put down 37. Yeah, so yeah, we're good here. So Relenka will be restanding here for 43, 53 twice in a row, and you can ping 1 and then guard the other, hopefully.
I mean, we did see that Sabriye does have a perfect guard in hand.
This is true.
From the Greed Shade, so we do know that he at least has that. And yep, going for the restand.
What's interesting here is this farm is actually really good. So we know that the dragons are coming. But potentially here, we had 4 draws happen. What are the odds that that's going to be a perfect guard?
A whole
and I think another one back to hand, and here we go again. And here comes the perfect guard. Yep.
Okay.
So honestly, our Anj player is sitting actually pretty well here. That's a lot of cards in hand. That's a lot of filtering, getting rid of grade 3s, hopefully hitting those perfect guards to deal with this potential Skull Dragon turn that's coming in right here. So we'll have to see if Sabri can finish off Grimy Guy here.
That's not a hand. That's an entire arm of cards.
Yes, we're back to books again.
Okay, this is smart here, going for that Columbard call, so you can actually get some more. Like, you can just use Columbard to search more. You can use it to just get stuff out there.
Yeah. I mean, Sabri's aware that if they don't kill here, it's probably death. We have seen 3 heals come out. I don't know if there's a 4th one somewhere, but as far as I'm aware, I've seen 3. So with that, actually, I think we have seen all 4. I think there was a mill too on top of the 2 heal guards that we saw come out, and the freaking ghosty and damage. So I actually think all 4 heals are out. So at this point, there's no. This is it. This is the last turn for Sabri. So they have to go in for the kill here.
Yeah, definitely.
Gonna go ahead and have to find it's gotta be skull Night Rose skull. There's no other ways to play it right now.
Yep.
You have to hope that the Goomy Guy, despite all odds, has drawn into every single copy of a grade 3, and all of the PGs, despite the one that we saw get Drove Chug, are still in deck.
Yep, exactly. And there's still 2 damage to play with, so honestly, these Skull Dragons won't be too scary. It's mainly the Vanguard into the next 2 Skull Dragons that you have the biggest fear here.
Yeah. That's what I'm most afraid of here. I think this is wiping for a Jesse here.
Yep. This is a Jesse here. So that means that able to get decent attacks here, especially because of that Skull Dragon.
Probably just more ways to also get cards into the drop zone, essentially, because I think that's just the goal here. The
Yeah.
Jesse is just there to get rid of the cards, then call out the dragon. Or, oh, now this is an
Oh.
interesting play. Surreal makes the Vanguard really hard to block. But the downside is that you don't have the 4 dragons.
Yes. It kind of puts the decision into your opponent, saying that, like, okay, I know that you were going to save all your PGs for my dragons, but do you have a PG for this attack? What if I double crit you on this really large Night Rose swing? Because that zero there is 18 plus Night Rose's buff is a 23k booster. That
23
is big.
plus 22 makes it 45.
Oh, sheesh, that's huge.
It is huge. It is that, yeah, and that dragon's pretty big too. I honestly would opt to take the dragon, perfect guard the Night Rose, and take another dragon that doesn't have a crit on it in case Night Rose hits Chris, and then perfect guard the other dragon.
Oh.
That is a perfect guard. No, that's not perfect guard. I can't tell actually what that is.
Yeah. Similar.
No, it is a perfect guard.
Oh, it is. Okay.
It was
okay.
a perfect guard. All right.
Okay, just making sure.
So we know of 2 perfect guards now. We know that one will be able to drag out through at least one dragon attack and or this Night Rose attack here.
Yep. So this is going to be a pretty scary... Honestly, guarding this Night Rose is almost as scary as guarding a Skull Dragon, if I'm going to be real.
Yeah, especially now that we took that damage to hit to 4. Like,
Yep.
a shiny yellow card would mean death here, despite all odds and everything going right for the Gumi guy. But do we see that one of the PGs come out?
A perfect guard would be perfect here. As funny as that sounds.
A whole whack of triggers is probably what the play would be. Just like 2 or 3 triggers for a 2 to pass or a no pass.
A double crit or hitting a double crit here would also just be perfect because then it
I
would mean
agree.
okay, you need the other 2 PG. Well, you need 2 PGs here. And
Use
we've
this a
already
hard guard or 2 PGs.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go for a 2 to pass. Using
Whoa,
Ellie's skill here.
We do have an Ellie. Ellie coming in big as usual. That super defensive card.
Honestly, if we do a trigger count here, I'm not mistaken, Siberia's actually out most of their triggers.
But
I
if you hit
do think you're correct.
Oh,
that was
okay.
the draw, no? That was the draw.
That was a draw. It's a draw. I saw the trigger and I was like,
Okay, yeah.
So here we have, I think that was a 2 to pass, so the easily could take 1 damage and hopefully be able to guard the other one, and that'll probably conclude Siberia's turn here.
Yeah.
Dragons are big, though.
Difficult because Sabrier being at 5 means that, well, because we know there's a perfect guard in hand. This is going to be very easy for Gumigai to block.
Oh, you took the damage here, so all you have to do is just guard this, which I think is possible, or you can just do that. You just drop the perfect guard, and that concludes the turn here. So now we have back to Anj, and honestly, this situation is going to go exactly the same way that we just saw.
The Relenka being able to get so much mileage out of its presence on the board.
Yes. I agree. That's still being there. They're going to have a restand. We might have even another Anj ride here, potentially. Yep, we do. So that's another force marker. Honestly, you don't even need to split it. You can actually put it either on the Vanguard or on the other side. Yep.
I think I would have done it onto the Vanguard just to make Anj that 33k. But
I agree. But this isn't bad either.
But you know what? Having more rear guards that attack for good numbers is also a good play. We do know that Sabrier is
at
leading
5.
with that 3-card hand. We know that Sabrier is at 5. We do know about the 2 heal cards that we used before and the heal that went into damage.
Yeah.
With this many attacks, we don't have enough heals. We don't have enough guards to go for. It is just Gloomy Guy going through all the motions to make sure no misplays happen that would cost them the game.
Yeah, I think at this point they're just deck filtering. That's all that's happening here.
Another thing to consider is that Gumigai has more attacks on this board than Sabrier has cards in hand combined with heals in deck.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, this is the kind of the finisher here. I will say this Relenka came in super clutch this game. Like sometimes Relenka doesn't do too much, maybe you don't see enough copies in time. But in this situation, we've seen all 4 copies in action.
Oh, there's another copy of Finessa, just in case we want to do a double Relenka turn again.
Yeah, in case you're feeling like you want a double restand, here it is.
And we do see the Nikita once again behind the Vanguard, not using any soul for a big boost. However, should the impossible happen that we are able to survive, which does not happen, Sabrier does unfortunately lose, and Gumigai does get the victory using the Anj Relenka build.
Yep.
What can I say? Relenka came in huge this game.
Yep, exactly. That was a very wonderful match. And I do want to take note of something something very important here. It's something that I've discussed a lot when facing Grand Blue. How much that first early counterblast really matters. I've talked to so many people that come to me and go, "How do you deal with Grand Blue? Like, you keep saying Skull Dragons aren't that big of a deal." The reason being is you need to know how to play around the concept of the Columbard. Columbard is the biggest turning point for Grand Blue. If they see that one of that they need to see to start ramping up their engine, and you don't stop it in time, you're going to watch yourself lose. If you don't take that much damage early on, you can actually save yourself dealing with those Skull Dragons turns. What we saw there, being at 3 damage is the perfect situation to be in, and applying that. I'm being so hyped about this. It's just like, I always like to this is how I like to tell people to deal with these types of things, is that counterblast literally changed that entire game. I think that I honestly think Siberia would have actually won had they had the damage to work with on turn 2.
Absolutely.
I think it showed a lot of discipline over on Gumi guy's side of the field to be able to ride into grade 1 and go leads a lot, call leads a lot, and then also call a grade 1 booster. So all of these numbers are attacking for real numbers. We are like, if were it not be for like a defensive trigger or like the heal guardian, we could have pushed Sabrier to 3 damage right there. And like, even with that heal guardian, one of the attacks could have hit. But to have that, like, have the discipline to say that one counterblast to them means a lot more than myself doing that 1 damage to them.
Exactly. Stopping and halting that situation, going, okay, maybe I won't attack here.
Very, very, and then like at that point as well, it kind of dampens the value of the heal guardian that Sabrier used, because without any further attacks, that extra 10k buff didn't really come into fruition.
Yep, exactly.
For sure.
I'm almost kind of surprised that Sabre even heal guarded there. They could have chose to held off taking that damage, knowing they had the Columbard in hand. I mean, at least I'm assuming, unless they drew into it, which is possible. It's possible that they were holding something else. But yeah, it was interesting that they heal guarded there over taking the damage, knowing that the damage was actually extremely important for the turnaround of the game, especially without the Navigator. Like, honestly, when you see that Navigator ride and you don't see another card come down that's a Navigator, you know right then and there, all right, they're breaking.
Yeah. And it was also just so unfortunate of seeing Navigator as the opening hand and then drawing off the top from the ride the Banshee, because then it's like, oh, if it were one more card, that would have been the Banshee into
Banshee
the Navigator. It would have been perfect.
Yeah, that is true.
Nonetheless, congratulations to the Gooby guy for making it to the finals of the NABRO 2022. Congratulations to Sabrier to making it to top 4, and good luck to you in your 3rd place fight. When we come back after this break, we will be bringing you the finals of NABRO 2022. Do not want to miss this.
Yay!
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to Bushiroad Rumble Online. And we are now getting ready for our finals here. That was a very close top 4, but we do have our bracket for the finals here. So let's get that up.
Looks like it is Man Long against the Gumi guy. If I'm not mistaken, those are both looking like Ange decks.
Yep.
Very Bermuda Mirror Triangle is what we're going to be looking at for the finals. And Man Long trying to get a doubles grand final win before BRO 2022 finishes up. Having just won in EU, I believe.
Yep. He just won EU without dropping a game. And right now he's only dropped
win
one.
NA as well. All right. If I had to wager all of my money on a winner of this finals, I think I'd have to put it on Ange. What about you guys?
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I don't think Ange can win. I think Ange.
I was thinking, like, if Ange doesn't win, then it'll probably be Ange that wins.
Yeah. And
Toku, if you think about it, like, Ange has to play perfectly to outplay Ange, right?
Yeah. And then Ange needs to guard Ange's attack in order to not die to Ange.
One unfortunate thing for you, Toku.
What's
no
up?
matter who wins this, if you want to buy their thing savers, you have to use international shipping.
No! My things are not saved.
That reaction has me.
Sabre was your last chance at buying from a Canadian. Michael was your last chance at buying from anyone in North America. and so now you have to either buy from France or Hong Kong.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to get my wallet saved because I have to get my things saved because wallet is definitely not getting saved with international shipping nowadays.
International shipping is actually very pricey. Thank you to other things happening in the world. But aside
Yeah.
from that, it's okay, Toku. You got 2 other regions to potentially get your stuff from as well.
That's true. Suo lives in Canada, and he got 4 copies because he won. So
Yep, alright. But,
Give a
like,
chance.
besides talking about that, if you did not ride this turn, Anj is a card that does happen when you do ride this turn. Now, Man Long plays the Highlander version with the Coutures and, like, the 1 copy of the Reindeer and more of these, like, 1-ofs, whereas we know that, Gumi plays the more focused style with the Rolenkas, being able to cycle the Rolenkas out and keep being able to draw into your better pieces, collect the pieces, and just go for this once you hit that breakneck pace of Rolenka, until finally, once it comes down to it, you can transition into Tiroa instead. What do you guys think has the upper hand? Is this still a go first situation? Or maybe there's something in the going second department now that both of these decks have that could be the deciding factor? Orange.
So to be honest with you, Anj is I go first. I do whatever I want. So honestly, you still want to go first. And we have one with Pro Sisters and one without Pro Sisters. I think the Pro Sisters might actually be the difference here. If we see the high roll happen, I think it'll just secure a game just like that.
What about you, Peter?
I completely agree, actually. That Pearl Sisters might just be the thing that makes the difference. However, it's a matter of if you can see those Pearl Sisters as soon as possible, because Monlong does run not only the 4 Anj, but the 3 Kutide and the 3 Aqua and the 2 Tirua. So that means that you are actually going to be having a harder time potentially seeing your pieces. And because you're not running the Rolenka the same way that Gumigai is, Gumigai might have a little bit more consistent of a game plan, although Monlong's definitely got a lot more explosive of one.
Yep, exactly.
Now, once again, that is enough from us talking the talk. We know you guys want to see them walk the walk. Let's get into the grand finals for the Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022 V-Premium. Let's begin, even though Raids can't really walk the fins.
Well, it's more like Cardfight the Cardfight, I guess, at this situation.
Swim
Fight.
the swim.
Swim the
Fight the
swim.
fight. Swim the
Fight the
swim, fight
fight.
the fight.
Oh, Manlong looks like he's playing on a fast forward. Oh my goodness.
He's a very
This
fast
man,
player.
this man is saying, "I want to win today." I've been playing this for a while. We're just—I know how this deck works. We're just going in.
That's
Alright,
one
riding
thing.
the Sedna, yep. Going to pass it to the
Fortune
Gumi
without
guy.
Oh, sorry.
Sedna? No, Ellie.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's an on hit. On hit is really good going second anyway. So
That is true. Yeah, and I guess that's one thing we mentioned as well, that Gumi guy does run the on hits, which once again comes up big going second.
exactly. Well, Ellie on hit, Rolinka on hit. We maybe have a Weaselot coming through here, but some thoughts. But actually, we're just going straight in. And is that's a no guard? Okay. So no guard into a Tira. So now we have the on hit that's activating as well.
Taking that first damage, that looks like a Finessa, and we're going to get our on hit being able to go ahead and grab that 10k shield into her hand, and we say 10k, but just in a bit, it'll probably be 20.
Yep, exactly. Or you can early soap blast it out or something. You know, get her out. And use her as much as you want. Start recycling her. Very good deck. I'm actually surprised. Maybe there was a little bit of a guard issue, but I'm actually kind of surprised that the Ellie hit happens there. Because to be honest, I would try my hardest to avoid that happening because you don't want that extra shield to deal with those Anj turns.
Yeah, I agree. I think if I had a trigger in hand on Monlong's side, I would have definitely slapped
like-
that down, no past it.
Looks like a Heal Guardian has the top card off of Weasel
That
there on man's side. So there's kind of a decision here to call it or put into Soul. To be honest, you might as well call it. Or you can put into Soul and then Soul Blast it out, whatever, the choice is. Calling the back row, very interesting. That's something to keep in mind. It's not a normal unit, so you cannot bounce it back with Anj.
Was
That's
that
true.
a heal? Actually, was that a heal guardian?
Actually,
I wonder if that's
that's the
Murno.
grade 1. That's the
Oh,
grade
yeah.
1 that has the yep.
Yeah. So Murno has the effect that when placed not directly from hand as well, that you can put a normal unit back to the bottom of your deck and draw a card. And that draw pushed us one card closer to the Heal Guardian this time.
Yep.
Being able to move the damage disparity 0 to 1 onto the other side.
Yep. My apologies. It looks like a Heal Guardian from that angle.
Yeah,
I
no,
saw
a
it
lot
too,
of
don't
Bermuda
worry.
Triangle. A lot of Bermuda Triangle cards have this very ornate artwork.
Yep, exactly. It kind of had that similar look to it. The colors are different though. And there's another a Weaselot to a Weaselot. Okay, let's go. We saw one Weasel on one side. It's almost like they're playing the same deck.
Wow! Now, unfortunately, on the Gumi guys, not as good as a superior call as Manlong got. We do lose one of our draw sentinels here, and opting to use it as a 5k booster. If you're not going to be able to use it, may as well use it as a 5k booster. That extra 5k can come in big, and we are passing. I love this play.
Yes,
Let's go!
let's go! Oh, so smart. What? You can't even bounce now. You're just going to go into Anj. You're not going to get the force marker. You have no plussing whatsoever, which is perfect because now the man has to make a decision. Do I even bother attacking? And you have to eventually start attacking, and this will actually deplete man's hand, making Gumi Guy be able to have the upper hand. Because Gumi Guy did go second, this is one way to play around the going second concept.
Man does have the heal guard in hand, though, and it looks like that is what's going to be used to get
that.
Can't bounce it, though. Can't bounce it. So that means
you can't bounce it.
Stuck on board. So
but you can still do your thing, though. Man.
However, that's 15k out of hand that cannot be taken back.
But you still get your force markers. You still get the plussing off of other stuff. So honestly, wow. You know what? We talked about this before. We don't see the heal guardian come that often, and in this situation, we did see that.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a benefit of having that, like, heal guardian. In addition to just the defensive benefits, you have those offensive benefits too of going, oh, you're trying to damage 90? Let me just get my mini Bobo here.
Yeah. I honestly, we even saw the heal guardian, pretty sure, come into play earlier. So actually, interestingly enough, that was quite interesting to see.
And I guess it also brings a discussion that Manlong does run that one copy of Spiana. So now that we have that Heal Guardian on board, despite it not being able to come back to our hand, it does provide us that venue that we can start calling Spianas, start bouncing them back with the Anj. But we don't care. We will take that -1 in order to get that +1 off of the Anj. That Heal Guardian has done its job. We got our counter charge. We got our counter blast. We are going to go into our attack.
Searching for Sedna again.
Looking for Sedna. You get all the Sednas out of the deck.
Yeah, I mean, they hit double tier, I think, there, so that would have
two times hit. So far. That
yeah,
whiffed Kuchide because Manlong runs a lot of 4-ofs in this deck. So he runs the 3 Kuchide, the 2 Tira, the 4 Anj, the 3 Aqua. So you have a lot of chances for things to go wrong.
Yep, I agree. This is the downside to Q-Tire. There's a lot of fear for Q-Tire, but honestly, at the same, there goes another Q-Tire. But the downside to Q-Tire is the fact that if you keep missing, Q-Tire is actually doing absolutely nothing for you, which is what we're kind of seeing happen here quite a little bit. Still going through, still searching for a Sedna here. Wow, we are really going through this deck. Oh, it wasn't Sedna this time. Oh my goodness. We're still going.
Okay,
oh, it's Anj. So one
thing
I like about Highlander Anj is one weakness to Anj is not riding, and when you don't ride, you don't get that force marker generation. So sometimes with Q-Tire, the best thing to search for is Anj, and I'm glad that they were able to kind of make that call to have more force markers later on going into the game.
Bermuda Triangle unfair. Q-Tire is in there, calling in succession. Searching our oppression.
Oh my god.
I find the funniest thing about that tweet with the BRO 2022 hashtag being that was written by someone who ended up getting top 8 in this tournament.
Yep.
Gotcha, Okuro. We are going to be able to start. So we're going to start with 23, going for a 28. I hate and love the fact that Aqua plus Sedna just makes 28 by itself.
It is such a
high column. Can't bounce that. Can't bounce. Oh, wait. Did he?
It was something else.
We called over the heal guardian because he said, "No, I'm done with this.
He was
done with this."
Okay.
Okay. So now we are going to activate. We're going to use Anja's skill to call out of the deck Kutire. We're going to Bermuda Triangle Unfair. Kutire isn't there, calling in succession, searching for our oppression. What will we search this time?
Anything that's not. I think they're going for Vanessa here. I think they revealed it in the soul. I couldn't catch the card. Oh, Sedna.
Okay, this is smart, actually. Going for things that are just very abundant in the deck so you can at least just get cards out.
Yep, exactly. Because eventually, once you get more cards out, you can actually start searching for winning pieces, which would be Pro Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting at 23 towards Gumi Guy. I don't think Gumi Guy has a heal guardian, but if we do, it would probably be used to just block the Kutire attack, period. I think the scary part now on the Gumi Guy side of things is that Manlong now has 2 Kutiris in hand, which means in the future turn, that is search any 2 cards out of your deck, granted that you hit. And then once you do that, Anj is just being able to keep bouncing back and back and back and back.
So you're using the heal guardians to kind of help a little bit with this aggression here, because honestly,
Ooh, okay.
Putting all. Okay.
All right,
Yep.
second heal guardian to just minus the crit. Do we have it? We
That's
do.
43. Awesome, solid. Just barely scraping by, not really taking too much damage here, which is perfect. So now we're gonna see another Anj. I know it's crazy, but another potential Anj ride, right? Maybe. Okay. Yep.
Oh my God! How did you know?
I'm actually just a mind reader. That's why I'm here commentating. I actually already know what's gonna happen.
Oh, okay. So this is a replay.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's going to be interesting here to see if Gumigai has the Relenka, because if Gumigai has that Relenka, this will be huge in terms of just pushing it just throughout this turn.
Yeah. I will say, honestly, the way this game state is going, I think Manlong has the upper hand by quite a long shot. Those Q-tire searches are really coming in handy, even though he did whiff some of them. They still have a pretty good hand. And on Gumi's side, we're actually seeing not as great of deck filtering happening. So I think at the end, the triggers are really gonna batter here.
Yeah. Speaking of like hand, like we can already see like the disparity between the thickness of like the hands between the two players, and it definitely does come down to the fact that each time a Couturier succeeds, it is a +1. There's no cost associated with it. The cost is a quote unquote a deck building restriction, but eventually there comes a point where you've actually thinned your deck so much, got rid of all the extra duplicate copies, that calling a Couturier down is a +1, and being able to do that so many times in a turn, it adds up over a turn.
Agreed. And honestly, like, as you keep plussing, you're also deck thinning your deck. And we do have a very interesting card that Manlong played that we talked off screen about. You can even send triggers back to deck with the with Meanie. So if we see that card activate at any given point, that deck will have even more triggers in it.
This is an interesting board right now. Like we've got the tier up, but we also have the column that's like technically small, but not anymore because it's 26. But
there's actually another issue here. They can only bounce 3, which means they have to bounce Q-tire.
Oh, that is the worst case in this mirror match, because that means not only are you plussing 1 to Manlong's hand, like now even though like there's no shield value in that card, that card then converts itself into a new card in the future.
Exactly.
Manlong can be happy to just call down Couturier, Aqua Couturier, get 4 cards out of their deck, bounce them all back to hand, and then start going in with the tier was.
Honestly, goes for the 3 here. They could choose to go. They're going for the 4, but they could choose to go for the 3. But it's just it negates you so much that it's not worth it. It's the downside to Anj. We're seeing a little bit kind of like the downside of when Anj doesn't work, and that is when you don't have enough normal units to actually do stuff. And you have to resort to look at your opponent's board and hoping that they have something. But you usually don't want to bounce stuff, because even in this situation, that Q-tire could just be a perfect guard to toss now, and you don't want that. And that's kind of where where you kind of see where Anj starts lowering in power, because when you're in this situation, it kind of sucks. There's the Relenka.
So this means that Gumigai probably has the other 2 Relenka in hand.
I wonder if there was ever a situation where Gumigai, instead of doing anything, just kind of goes bounce 3, attack Vanguard, and gain the force forgo the search. But then that would prevent Manlong from getting a second counterblast to play with on the next turn.
Agreed. That is another approach. And I was thinking the same thing, like maybe dealing with the fact that you're 1 force marker short. But keep in mind, Manlong does have another ride target in their hand, so it's gonna be a 3 to 1 force marker difference, which is huge.
Yes. It definitely does add up over time. Just all those extra 10Ks throwing around the body, going through multi-attacks and stuff. And I guess like in the same sense that even if Manlong does get damage denied on this on this turn, if we have that reindeer, we can always re-ride into the Couturier and not care. Still get another force marker, still get Couturier's effect, and continue searching through your deck that way. Maybe you have like a slower turn yourself, but then right after, just re-ride into that Anj that was previously searched off the Couturier already. And with that, but it looks like we're going to go ahead and skip that play and go into our second Anj now that we have all of those cards, and now we have a counterblast to play with.
Something interesting about Reindeer is that her skill doesn't indicate which grade 3 you rewrite into, so you can actually rewrite back into Anj. Like after everything, like after you do all the multi attacks, you can actually go back down to any grade 3 you want in your soul.
Ho ho ho.
So
Even
you can go
more
back to
force
Q-Tire,
markers.
you can go back to Anj, you can go back to any other thing you have. And here we have another Q-Tire search. Not really too sure what we're going for this time. Might be another Anj. Looks like we're going for the
Oh,
next
Nikita. Okay, I like it.
Yep, good pick.
Okay, so we now have 2 more Kuti Rays to resolve in hand. 2 more Kuti Rays to unfair in there, succession, oppression.
All that fun stuff. This is you can kind of see this is it almost in a way kind of a one-sided match here. We're just watching Manlong just do his thing, turn after turn, Q-Tire after Q-Tire. It's getting kind of scary. If I was Gooby Guy, I'd be a little scared right now. This deck thinning is getting stronger and stronger.
I'm looking at a lot of yellow cards. It scares me. We still
There's
have
just a
Seals in
lot
deck.
of triggers.
There's the Betty.
That's a Betty. Another card that sends back triggers. Doesn't have to be necessarily heals. You can send back any trigger, perfect guard, crits, you name it. Over trigger in other formats. Whatever you want to do, you send it back.
Yep.
I do believe we still have 1 more Kuti Ray in hand to resolve. And
Yep,
then we also have an
because of the
awkward
bounce.
hand, so we also have a 4th Kuti Ray to resolve.
Yeah. The bounce really. Oh my goodness. The bounce really is like. It's like. Uh-oh. We can actually search for Pearl Sisters here.
Yeah,
If
I
you
think
really
we can
want
start
to.
going for Pearl Sisters at this
Because you can
point.
grab one right now, and then you can grab the other one with the Aqua Bounce call. So honestly, you could. This could be the finishing here. And if we don't finish here, we have a fat hand. We could finish next turn, but not
That's a
leave
lot
for
of
Pearl
crits.
Sisters.
That's
Wow.
a lot of crits.
And keep in mind that that did not whiff and went through the entire deck, which means from here on out, every Q-Tire search will hit.
Yes.
Oh no.
And it looks like they're kind of showing off that everything is now at a 1 of.
Yeah, I think they're just, explaining, like, hey, these are one-ofs.
Maybe, like, reviewing the entire deck, saying, like, hey, this entire deck is now a 1 of.
I also think he's just looking through it just to kind of even prepare for himself what to do.
Yeah. Now, I
Yeah.
do think the last card that was picked up was, in fact, a Pearl Sister, unless, like, my eyes deceived me and it was something else.
Didn't see a Pearl Sister. I didn't, because I actually saw both Pearl Sisters revealed before that last card was revealed.
Okay.
Oh my.
In which case, we already have the Pearl Sisters ready as well, because we can go... Oh, we can search for 1 Pearl Sisters, and then instead of bouncing all, we can leave 1 of the Pearl Sisters on board, then call the second one with the Anj as, like, a play as well. Oh. Calling the
My
Anj.
goodness.
Discarding that. Kutire, yes, okay.
There we go again.
I
Honestly,
do
at this
love...
point, I don't even know what to grab. I can't grab the Pearl Sisters because they're not going to do anything.
At this point, what do you grab? I just probably, like, name
Shield.
anything.
Just shield. Because it's one of, so you can just grab whatever you want at this point.
There's
Just
there's the Spiana.
Oh, maybe heal cycling is also a thing.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Then okay. Call over a Kutire with Spiana to put the Kutire back in deck for a counter charge so you can call Kutire off of Anja's skill again to go over another Kutire cycle. Yeah!
Wow. Wow. That is nuts. And here we have the Betty. Choosing to grab a
bouncing for
perfect
days.
guard. That's actually really interesting.
Oh yes, you can. Yes.
So the Betty, so usually when Betty search, you want to actually deck thin, but here what we saw was maybe the crit went back and the perfect guard got picked up in the situation, but the Betty's really interesting because you can grab whatever and send back whatever essentially. So you have 7 options to pick from, and they chose the perfect guard, which means they either sent back a trigger. I'm assuming they sent back a trigger, or they sent back a Tira, which is also possible just to have the Tira restand.
Definitely sent back a trigger there because like, why not? You could just make your deck only crits.
Yep. Which is what you want to see. You want to see yellows over, the other triggers in this
For
situation.
sure, especially when your opponent's at 3
Look at
damage
all those
right now.
cute tires.
Oh my gosh!
And the force on the Vanguard, applying as much pressure as possible here. There's the Tira.
I'm pretty sure that hand is bigger than the deck now.
Oh no, 100%. This is the high roll of Anj Highlander. This is when you see it at its peak. Like it eventually comes to a point where it's only triggers.
Oh my good.
And
So
if there's a double crit here, it's game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Double crit onto Tirawa, or even like
Or Vanguard, yeah.
or Vanguard for game.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
No
Oh.
crits at all. This is
Gumi
actually
being
livable.
able to slide through. Okay, gets a defensive.
It's livable, but what do you do when you're staring at that book? You have a magazine. Your homie on your side has a book, has an encyclopedia.
I think then at this point the plan is just survive for as long as possible because deck out could be a realistic thing. Monlong does have very thick sleeves, so
That
deck
deck
is
out,
deceptively thin.
that deck out will happen for a while. You can easily keep sending back triggers to hand. They are running that grade 2 that sends back 3 cards
Yeah.
back to deck. So
Oh,
honestly,
true.
that deck out won't happen anytime soon. And well, they're not running Ellie, but regardless, even sending back 3, you can keep bouncing her, recalling her back out, keep sending back 3 cards to deck, and you can send back triggers. And with that
Oh.
hand, you have no issues here. Is that a Pearl Sister?
That is a Pearl Sister
Oh.
on rotation. So Gumi
Oh.
guy has lost that option as a win con.
Wow,
That's unfortunate.
this feels like almost like I don't know how else to put it, like a stalemate. Like you're just kind of watching yourself be in a situation where you can't out advantage your opponent.
Who are you? I'm you, but cooler. And it looks like we have like that one last Tiro attack. Just, I wonder if we have to play for the 6 damage heal. Like like knowing that Gumi guy had to bounce back one of Manlong's cards. We already know that we're like short on normal units to bounce for the Anj, and
Which means more triggers.
that
In
is
hand.
true. Yeah. It also like brings us to the point that eventually there needs to be a what can Manlong do? Manlong already has his Beyond It in cycle as well, so that means
Yep.
Counterblast Denial isn't an option anymore.
Manlong has everything as cycle. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
He got Q-Tire cycle, Aqua cycle, like everything. Tira, they got the whole setup over there. All one-ofs. Whew.
Oh, here comes
Here
the
comes the
Sedna.
Rolinka search here, which is very important here. Applying any possible pressure is what you want to do here.
Finding Anj, hopefully just thinning out the deck.
I'm gonna have to just discard her here. And unfortunately,
Yeah.
we didn't see another ride either, which I mentioned earlier. Riding Anj is very important. If you can't apply pressure, or the best way to apply pressure is just keep getting force markers.
Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3. Anj to hand, probably discarded. Hopefully just thinning. Oh, using the quick shield. Right, that was the
Interesting.
thing.
Oh, wow. We're in a quick shield for that long.
Yeah.
I mean, with the powers hitting that high.
Yeah,
quick shield being
5k
the-
doesn't work.
Yeah.
Again,
Finding
still
another
no
Anj
Rolinka.
out.
Yep.
That's
Rolinka could
unfortunate.
be in. Actually, no, Rolinka's probably not in hand at this point.
And we already know 2 heal guardians were used for the early game. Hopefully, on Gumi's side of things, that twin drive does bring to us 2 more heal guardians, putting us back to 3-3, letting us take some more damage on the swing back. And eventually, hopefully, the Rolinka cycle starts happening, but it's just so slow to start up as compared to the last time we saw Gumi guy on stream.
Yep, but as I mentioned, sometimes Rolinka just doesn't do much if you don't see her fast enough, and
Yeah.
but that's where you wanna. That's where it kind of get where that even the Highlander engine, why some people have been running Rolinka comes in handy because you could potentially hit more to start rolling that restanding faster.
Yeah. Now let's go ahead and see what Gumi guy plans to do here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's actually pretty smart because you can bounce both of them and then get another one from deck. So that's one way to get the restand to happen.
Yep.
So 1, 2, 3, 4 back to hand. This is going to be 28 to Vanguard.
All with the on hits too.
26, sorry.
Ooh.
All the way on hits, yeah. So being able to grab Rolinka from the deck, well, at least one. And then on the
Honestly,
next
though,
one,
that book though, you could just
Yeah.
deny this so easily.
Manlong going through the motions, trying to figure out how many attacks they're dealing with.
Probably
But,
5.
well, yeah, that's defensive. And like you said yesterday, actually, one of the strongest parts about Anj thinning the deck so much in the early game, at this low damage count, being able to just no guard and then sit at a strong base defensive makes it really
Yep.
hard for games for your opponent to close out games, as like you just
Yep.
keep getting incidental 10k extra shield on all of your cards.
Yep, I've definitely been in situations where I'm sitting with like 2-3 defensives. It's like, you can't touch me.
And then with like the entire book in your hand.
Another defense.
Talking about
I mean,
defense,
when you-
all right.
When you thin your deck like this, like the deck is almost all triggers. You are hitting defensives for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I mean, at this point, we didn't see too many in drive check, right? So, like, the chances of this happening here was actually pretty likely. And honestly, like, this is what you want to happen as an Anj Highlander player to get to this point where you're not really too scared about taking damage because you know it'll be a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like it's pretty tough. This is a really good way to shut down turn. They are both force clans, so honestly, it's 33 to 33. 33 right now base. So even though those two force markers makes that attack 33, it's a 5k block right now.
Yeah. So the Anj getting the 10k will make it 23 with the 5k boost from the PG for 28 to 33. Just dropping down 15 makes it a 1-2 pass, I believe, if my math is correct.
Yeah.
Which is already no, it's a 2 to pass. Like you're already still not hitting at base value on this attack.
Yeah.
Unless you put the force marker onto the Vanguard swing here.
Yeah, which could be not a terrible idea. It will at least make the Vanguard like a little bit more lethal, but honestly, I think Manlong just took the damage just because they could. Like, it wasn't like a matter of like, oh no, I have to take this damage because I don't have a choice. I think it's more of a, I just need counterblasts.
Yeah.
I just need something. Like, that's a 20 card hand, I think, in there. Maybe 18 cards. Like, there is no fear here at all.
Yeah, I think the only shot that Gumi Guy has of winning this is hitting like double crit and just giving it all to Relenka and just trying to get something going, because that would make Relenka 63, which even on a 33k base, you still need another 35k shield per block.
Here comes that loose solos, that very big guard. This is going to be basically the same as a PG at this point.
Yep. That's reliable faith. She gets an additional 5k if you have 2 or more force markers, and if you have 3, she actually gets intercept as well.
And that's unfortunate. Being unable to get any triggers means that now both of these are just an easy 1 trigger block.
Yeah. Despite being 43-43 when looking at a 33k base Vanguard, 2 triggers from Manlong hands gets him out of this turn very easily.
Do you just swing to the rear here? Like, what do you do?
Maybe just swing to the rear.
Oh, you have to swing the Vanguard, at least for her skill, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I know the on-hit, it has to be the Vanguard. Rear, I think the restand as well, but I'm not too sure.
Restand can be anything.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's right, it's not attack.
Cycle out.
Yep.
And one more rewrite, as if 5 force markers isn't enough.
Oh my! I'm telling you, this is just Luard.
Luard, but a hot anime girl, I'm down. Bet.
With extra steps.
Luard with a little bit of brainage of figuring out Q-Tire. I mean, real talk. This deck, as easy as Manlog makes it look, this requires a lot of brain. You have to constantly think, like, even in early on, like, what your 1-ofs versus what your 4-ofs versus what your 3-ofs are, because, like, if you make the wrong decisions with Q-Tire, it can actually cost you.
Yeah.
At this point, it doesn't matter, but early on, it matters a lot.
Oh, now it looks like we're
it's Pearl Sisters now. Yep.
It's Pearl Sister time.
It's Pearlin time.
It's Pearlin time.
It's Pearlin time. As Manlong pearled over Gumi.
Oh my goodness.
And we also did see, like, another copy of Tier 1 still in the deck as well. So, be it not the Pearl Sisters to close out the game, we still have a very thin deck going into a Tier 1 multi-attack as well, if the Pearl Sisters somehow don't manage to close
wonder if we'll see a Mine here. Actually, no, probably not, because she's a counterblast, and you want to restand with Tira, so I probably won't see it. But it would have been interesting, or that or Betty, because Betty's still in hand, so you can also just apply Betty and just send more crits back to deck. So they're trying to figure out what to search for here with the Stir Q-Tire. Honestly, with not much left, I think with like a grade 1 or something left in there, but it isn't too much.
Yeah, no, he's just thinning.
Oh yeah, 100%. Aqua is still in hand too, so there'll be 2 more deck thins happening here, and a Betty. And there's the card that they're looking for. That's the grade 1 I was referring to. It was the first one that came to my mind.
The draw drop. I think at this
point, I love that card.
Gotten most of the cards out. I think I saw Mine still in deck. I don't know where the Caro is. I don't know where the Sistico is.
Could be in hand.
But at this point, okay, now we're going to start playing over. Putting the Couturier back in deck, maybe the Anj back in deck. Anj back in deck for a counter charge. So maybe now, like you said, maybe the Mine.
Oh, we could the Mine here. Yeah, you are correct.
Mine call over the Couturier to fail the condition, draw 2 cards.
Send 3 triggers back to deck.
Send 3 triggers back. Goodness gracious! But no, it looks like
I think we're just going in. Nope. Yeah, I think they're just going for the finish here. This is kind of the finisher play. This is what you want to do. This is where that ceiling of Anj just gets so much better, because in a normal Anj deck you can't apply this kind of pressure. But honestly, with Pearl Sisters you can, and finish games just so much faster.
Lethal is an understatement for what this turn is.
Yeah, it's going into overkill.
Yeah.
super pearls going in at that 2 crit, like, not only are you at this point in the game with the hand that Gumi Guy has forced to at least take one of these attacks, we are forced to play on the 6th and the 7th damage heal, and we only know that we have like at most 2 heals left in deck.
Wow.
So
Is this a guarding 2 Pearl Sisters, an Anj, and a Tira restand with a deck that small and that compressed? I do kind of wonder what was the purpose of sending Anj back, unless there's like nothing in deck to call out. Like I am kind of curious what the thought behind that was. Like the counter charge is nice, but if you're not going to do anything with it, then what's the point? Unless you want to call Mina out and use Mina's skill there to then send back the triggers, that's also possible. It was interesting.
But then you still have an open counterblast to play with.
Yeah, this is yeah, you're right. That's why it was a little strange to me, because with all that deck compressing, why would you want to send a normal unit back at this point?
But it would be kind of cool actually to see Anj counterblast 1, call Mine effect to counterblast 1, draw 2, send 3 triggers back, and then do your drive checks with Anj and just stack them all onto Mine. Though Mine doesn't restand, would be cool to see. I do think the play will be that last Tira we did see in deck.
Yeah, 100%. It is a good side play. Like if you're out of Tiras, that is another good approach.
So that Pearl Sister there gains, I believe that is the grade 1 variant, the blonde one.
It's 28.
They're both the same. They give each other the same. They give each other the same exact power, even though the one's a grade 1, grade 2. They end up being the same. They're both 28k with a crit on them, without force markers.
46
58.
total.
This one is 58.
I guess that perfect guard.
There's that perfect guard, discarding the Rolenka that we picked up off of like the Rolenka skill. And here comes Anj, pick up our entire board and getting another force marker to the Vanguard swing, making it that much harder to guard, especially when you're at 5. You already needed to use your PGs for the Pearl Sisters. And here comes a 43k Chirawa swinging twice at you. Deck is very thin, very, very likely to get that crit onto the Chirawa for two swings at 2 damage.
Even if you perfect guard this, there's a very high likelihood that my long hits multiple crits.
Yeah. I'm looking at that hand, I'm just like, jeez. Even if you theoretically survive this, what do you do? Is that a 2-pass?
10-10-10?
Is that a 2-pass? Oh
my
It sure was a 2-pass. And
Yeah.
that will be game Manlong taking the 2nd championship title in EU and in NA using the Anj Highlander list. Like we saw yesterday, a masterclass by Living Proof on how to play Gurgit. This is a masterclass on how to play Kutire feat Anj.
Yeah. That was quite a match. Honestly, I think the best play there early on was Gumi Guy trying to slow down that entire play that we saw there, and unfortunately having that heal guardian kind of stopped that. But had that heal guard not been in hand, that would have been like maybe a different game, because they would have slowed down that entire Q-Tire play times like 3 probably.
Yeah.
and as mentioned, 8-0 in EU, by the way. 8-0.
Yeah.
Well, went
Clean
to
Swiss.
11-0 in EU because of top 8.
Undefeated. Wow,
Yeah.
true.
Holy moly, good job to Manlong. Like, it kind of brings like that discussion that we had last week with Premium. Like, when you know your opponent has a heal guardian, and you do have to swing to get a card back into your hand, is it worth pausing that swing and forcing your opponent to use that heal guardian down? Or do you just go ahead and swing, give them the counterblast that they were gonna get anyways, and get yourself a card back as well, which could have been that extra normal unit that maybe Gooby needed on that Anj turn as well. It really goes really deep into what your opponent is playing, what you are playing, and I wonder if, knowing that Manlong was playing Anj, a deck that just naturally pluses so hard, I don't think Manlong had any issues just being like, you know what, I'm gonna +6 on my attack anyways, -1 from hand for the counterblast, no sweat off my brow. So maybe the play there from Goomy was to swing. Time will only tell, and unfortunately hindsight do be 20/20.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's hard to know. It is a 50k shield out of hand, and sometimes Anj hands can be pretty fake. So honestly, 15k shield can matter in some situations. So it's honestly, it's a really hard call. Like either situation, though it's closer to a normal unit, like I don't even know if it would have been enough to apply pressure.
Yeah. I don't think I can fault Gumi on what he did either. Like, I don't think I can fault it. I think it was a very good play
Yeah.
nonetheless.
Super well played. Yeah.
Peter, give me your thoughts on the game before we head to break.
That was, whew. He was just running like a bullet train. Just nothing could stop him, and he was getting on time to his destination, which was that 4 copies of Things Saber Dragon.
The extra 4 copies of Things Saber Dragon. Holy
True.
moly!
He's got 8 now.
Yeah. Now, with that being said, we will have Manlong on with us for a player interview after this short break. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for sitting through with us for this V-Premium tournament of the BRL Rumble 2022. We will see you soon.
Welcome back to Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022. We just had our finals. We have our champion, Manlong, and we're going to be shortly talking to them. But first, let's go ahead and look at the bracket and see what it's looking like.
So at the beginning of the day, we had our top 8 finalists. Michael the Titleist, Atok Gize, Manlong, our champion, 984 Smurf, Ares, Sabre, Gashadokuro, the Dueling Dragons player, and the Gumi guy. Peter, why don't you tell us about what happened in semis?
Yeah, let's look at semis right now. It does look like in that match between Sabrier and Sabrier and Michael the Titleist that where's the I don't see right now where the
don't worry about that. So in semis, we had Michael the Titleist versus Manlong and Sabrier versus the Gumi guy. And into finals, we just witnessed Manlong versus the Gumi guy take it all home and become another champion in another region in both NA as well as EU.
Yeah, and man, the fact that someone can get first place in 2 different regions is crazy. That means that you have to not only have that stamina to play in multiple tournaments in one weekend, but also win them. So it's the stamina and the skill combined. That is like a whole different level.
Mm-hmm. So big props to Manlong being able to keep like the mental fortitude in check for sure. Having to play through everything, but like play at such a high level. It's not like Manlong was someone who like eked in at 8th and managed to slide their way into the finals. No, Manlong went Swiss through EU. Manlong went X1 in Swiss in NA and took it clean through the top 8 cut to become your champion today and this weekend for the V-Premium format.
Whew. That's quite a run.
Now, big props to our runner-up in the Gumi guy. We did see the Gumi guy play against Sabrier in the semifinals fight, and the Gumi guy piloted his Anj and Rolanka deck to great experience, being able to loop them to a lot of it, and then Michael the Titleist, the finalist who went clean through Swiss, unfortunately falling at the hands of our champion Manlong. And speaking of Manlong, we have him ready for a player interview for all of you viewers at home.
Yay.
Hello.
Hello, Manlong. Congratulations on your 2nd title. How do you feel, first of all?
Thank you. Of course, it's first of all because last time last BRO I also participated in, but just got the first runner-up and top 8 only in AO and EU. But this time, get 2 champions is very surprise for me.
That's very good to hear.
Well, congratulations. Honestly, very amazing plays as an on-Highlander player myself. It was very awesome to see the oppression of Q-Tire kind of happening there. Just a lot of stuff going on. But you have played so many regions. Like, how did you deal with like keeping up with your thinking through all your actions, not making any mistakes? Like how did you deal with that?
I think the stamina of the player is very need to be improved because every day, if there is competition, I will practice with my friend and all day long, maybe 2 days, just sleep a while and then practice again, practice all the version, all the skills and many things that will help you to participate in all the region. For that.
It's nice. Lots of testing.
Now, Matt Long, my question for you is, coming into this format, a lot of people were saying Gurgit would have been the boogeyman of the format. You'd have to be dealing with Gurgit. You'd have to be dealing with all the axle markers. Percival would be running rampant everywhere. What made you decide to play Anj Highlander of all things? Like, was this like a meta call? Did it have a good matchup into Gurgit?
I think the Gurgit is also a good deck, but besides of Ange Highlander, because Ange Highlander can compress the deck, as you see, last turn I get 2 damage checker because I got the compression of the deck, so that I can get 2 damage checker to block my opponent attack. So that I think Ange Highlander can use the damage checker to stop the Gurgit with main arterial circle, and then I think Ange Highlander can prevent many situations because everything can use QTR to help you to find, and QTR can help you increase your hand size and compression, and Aqua bonus QTR call again and more compression. So that I think Edge Highlander is a much more better deck for group to group with and the other deck. But I think the weakness of Edge Highlander is if you play in Zarkos, DX or Genesis, it will be such a hard to defeat of Prism Highlander, no, Edge Highlander, because Edge Highlander cannot, if their power is too big, maybe 7k or the Zarkos play in 28 with Force 2, it is very hard for Edge Highlander.
Oh, very good insight, especially with the fact that you mentioned that being able to compress your deck on the defensive state to be able to get those defensive triggers where Gurgit won't be able to hit again. Thank you very much.
And I want to know, personally, what's your local scene like in Hong Kong? Because I know that there's like some scenes in like Guangzhou and some other parts, but what about Hong Kong?
I don't get your question. Sorry about that.
Oh, what's the local scene? The local Vanguard scene? Like, how like, are there any shops that have like a big Vanguard tournaments every week or something like that?
Oh, actually, I'm own a shop called Grand Canyon, and always I will hold many events. On Monday I will get a V-Premium standard competition, and Tuesday will be a D standard competition, and also last time and every shop of have VG, have Vanguard, all will have the shop tournament, so that we have many time to participate in the competition for that. And Hong Kong and Guangzhou is different area. They need to go to the train for a few hours, so that just Hong Kong shop of that.
That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I have a question for you. So, do you think, so we're about to get more V cards. Do you think Anj Highlander can keep up with the new meta that we're about to see?
Yes. Once QTR is here, Edge Highlander will not be die. Edge Highlander can be played so far and so long if QTR is not banned. Because the problem is not Edge, the problem is QTR, as we see.
You guys heard it here first from the champion himself, from the 2-time champion himself. The problem is not Edge. Now, Manlong, my question for you as well is, your deck was good enough, you were good enough to pilot it to 2 different championships. Looking back on your tournament runs, is there a specific card that you want to change out for a stronger option that didn't really come up? Something like, oh, this card wasn't as strong, I wish it was another card. What card would that be, and what card would you change it to, and why?
I think if in this tournament, the deck of Edge Highlander is quite perfect of that, because I tried different versions of that. This is my about version 27, I think, 27, and it's the final version of that. I changed many cards because some Edge Highlander can have different cards to change, and for one to try bit for different opponent, Google, Luar, Zarkos, Genesis, and if I really need to change one card, I think I need to change one grade 1 to a grade 1 PG. so that Q tier can call the grade 1 PG and get a PG for my hand, and then defense my give me more defense of different deck.
More
For example,
crits too.
Jakos and Genesis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
That's really smart. And I know that like what Derek Dow, for example, mentioned you in his deck log's name. Did you work with how many? Like I heard also that you worked with a few international players. Are there any in particular you wanted to like mention?
Actually, I just talked about the deck with Derek and not the others international player. Maybe in Hong Kong, I have a friend called Hoi Keen, and his Twitter is Hoi Keen 123. And I also have a friend called Bear. Is two of them is my participate. When I get practice or get preparation, I will use the deck to fight with them and get some experience, and also modify the version of Edge Highlander so that both of them is my. I think there's a good player, but they don't have time to participate in BRO. So just me in Hong Kong for Hong Kong.
Aw.
So you carried on their spirit in this
Carry on their
tournament.
spirit.
Yes.
Well, I was gonna say thank you so much for being here. Did you mentioned some shout outs? Did you want to shout out anyone else or locals or anything before we decide to close out the interview?
Q tier must be banned. Yes.
That's a very good
QTR, QTR not be banned, and then next time I will use QTR again. And once the Bushiroad do not ban QTR, I will keep using it. Okay.
All right. Now, before we head out, I have one last question for you, Man Long. Are you selling your thing savers?
We talked in Discord.
We can talk in Discord. All right. I'm a DM you. Thank you so much for the interview.
Okay. Thank you.
Everybody, one last congratulations to Man Long before he heads on out. Our champion of the NA, champion of the EU, V-Premium BRO format, using the Kutire Feet Ange deck.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
And with that, that about sums up this weekend of Bushiroad Rumble Online V-Premium. Yesterday we went through some amazing rounds of Swiss, got to really see some really cool fights. My favorite has to be seeing the Dueling Dragons. Just something completely out of left field that wasn't expected. Orange, what was your favorite?
Wow. Let me think. So beginning we had, what was our first match? I'm trying to remember all the matches and they're all kind of clumping together right now. I think the Relenka restand against the Grand Blue player was probably the coolest thing to see, as we saw kind of a lot of motion happening there. We really saw Relenka in action, so that was probably my favorite points.
Mm-hmm. Peter, what about you? What was your most standout event in this weekend?
I mean, like the Dueling Dragon one was insane, but also I really liked the match that we saw with the Malkuth Melech.
Yes.
I love Malkuth Melech.
Yes.
And we got
he
some
was so
Vlaus.
cool.
Oh,
and Vlaus. All right.
That's
Got to see two mechs going against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we all wrap it up for you guys to enjoy the rest of your weekend, let's go ahead and get a quick recap, because Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022 is not done yet. We still have 2 more weekends for you. So, in the week 3, the weekend after the next, we have our D Standard Bushiroad Rumble Online tournament. This will start on the 13th of August with a day 1 Swiss format going into a day 2 top cut. But Bushiroad Rumble Online isn't just about Vanguard. In week 4, we have the one, the only, I love anime card game, Weiss Schwarz. In the 20th of August, this will be our Swiss format. In day 2, we will have our top cut, and that will conclude this year's Bushiroad Rumble Online 2022.
Very solid stuff. It's been a really exciting time. That top cut was quite a... So I was sweating a little bit during those finals. It was very intense. Very intense stuff. But guys, we are almost at the end here. So I just want to give kind of a big thank you To everybody, again, I know I say this every time, but you know, if we wouldn't be here without you guys as well. So thank you so much for being here with us, watching with us, day 1, you know, day 2, and you know, coming back. You don't forget to come back. We do have standard coming next, another great format. Just had a little bit of a restriction with Magnolia, so we might see a little bit of a difference kind of coming out with the meta. So it's really exciting to see. But I'm gonna go ahead and let Toku and Peter kind of give some last minute thoughts here.
So once again, I am It's Toku TV at Yellow Card Vanguard. Come check me out on the YouTube. Come check me out on the Twitch. This has been a blast of a weekend. V-Premium format, despite some outliers, is an incredibly fun format, and you can see different decks pop up here and there that you just don't expect to, and that's what makes it so fun sometimes. If you haven't given it a shot yet, with clan collections, the format has gotten easier and easier to get into, so if you are curious just one bit, go ahead and give it a shot. Peter, any last words?
I mean, like, obviously, I'm Peter, but I do have people to thank. I thanked them at the end of last stream, but I always want to thank my locals every single time, and I think everyone should thank their locals. Even if you're not on a stream or something, you should just tell your community you love them. I want to thank Curio Cavern Centerville, Curio Cavern Springfield, Superstar Card Gaming, Gritty Goblin Games, Guild Gaming Fair Oaks, and Guild Gaming Potomac Mills. And then I also just want to thank the Northern Virginia and Maryland communities.
All right. I appreciate that. I agree with, you know, communities, you know, thank your community, thank the people around you that you get to play Vanguard with. So that's really good. I am out of Orange. As you guys know, the name is like right here somewhere, right? I do YouTube content. I'm on Twitch. I'm on Twitter, pretty much all over the place. So come find me there. But aside from that, I think that is it, guys. Thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for everything. We'll see you guys in the next Bushiroad Rumble Online for Standard.
See you soon.
Bye. Bye.